Hello again, friends! And you are our friends, and we are all yelling here today. Welcome to another edition of Jim Cornette's Drive Thru right here on another fine day. It's cold, it's windy, some of us are sickly, but we have great wrestling talk with this man. Did I say my name? I probably did. I'm the great Brian Last. Here he is, the star of the show, the leader of the cult of Cornette, Mr. Jim Cornette.
Woo! Woo! Mercy! Handsome Jimmy loves to be the star of the show. I didn't think you was ever going to get that one out, but I'll tell you, the organ solo was all over the page. It wasn't all over the page. It was all through chapters 3, 4, and 5, but at least you didn't hit me with any shot through the heart, and you're to blame. That fucking note you hit gave me a bad brain. You can't do it on purpose, though. Every once in a while, you just like it's the frequency. What's the frequency, Kenneth? What kind of program is this anyway, where we just come on the air and gripe at each other? Why can't we be happy, shiny, happy people?
I wasn't griping at you. You immediately after you hear the warm, cheery music decide, let me start griping at this nice person who's doing the nice music.
Well, I was with you after nice person. Then you had to go nice music, and we parted again. 2 ships in a night. I got news. Well, first of all, you're inundated with you're under cover of the snow, aren't you? Did you get 3 feet or 4 feet of snow? Put one of the kids out there and draw a line in the snow where their head pops out.
We got just over a foot of snow. We can't speak is what it is today. Some of us are a little sick, but we got just over a foot of snow. Again.
Just over a foot of snow again. See, you ought to move to Providence, Rhode Island, or wherever the fuck they got 3 feet. Then it'd be bad.
And it was very different than the last foot of snow we got, which was in the middle of 0-degree temperatures. This was like 32, 33 degrees, sometimes a little lower. So it's just big, wet snow everywhere. And yeah, it's a lot of snow this year.
Big, giant, wet, dripping. No, that's the worst. That's the worst kind, is the right around the freeze, because then the colder it gets, then it's the fine snow and not the fluffy snow. But then you have a sheet of ice versus you could at least. Did you send the kids out and get the driveway cleared off?
I decided for the first time, and what a good move this was, to offer one of my daughter's boyfriends money to come with his father's snowblower and take care of our driveway.
But he's got a badass snowblower. It'll work on a foot or more of snow.
I've been using the Snow Joe. This kind of snow is actually perfect for the Snow Joe. It goes through it, but it takes a little while, and you'll have to grip it the whole time, so you'll get tired. This snowblower went...
I wouldn't get tired. I wouldn't have fucking laid hands on the goddamn thing. I'd let it snow, but go ahead.
That's right. Last time, I don't even think it was on the air where I asked you, I'm like, hey, we're talking about the snowstorm, a foot of snow. You had snow, I had snow. My driveway is big. My driveway was packed with snow. I said, we're going to have to do something because we have to get out of here. You're like, I was like, what do you do? Thinking you must have some advice. You have a big driveway and it goes downhill and, whatever. What do you do? You're like, oh, I don't shovel anything. I just get in my truck and drive over it.
I put it in 4-wheel drive and I floor it to back that son of a bitch out of the driveway. And I know where my drive is, so I go down it once, and then I've got tracks to follow on the way back. But they threw 2 monkey wrenches in my life this time. Number one, when they plowed the road, it piled up about a 2-foot high goddamn snowbank across the foot of my driveway. And then it got so cold for so long, it went, 12 days or whatever the fuck, without coming above freezing ever. So it became a sheet of ice. I powered out through it with old Black Beauty through that fucking snowbank at the bottom the first time, but goddamn, it would freeze back over and shit. It was getting rust. I called the new yard fellow. Do you have a snow plow? And apparently he was in Florida or whatever, and he didn't get back to me for a week and a half. I'd already had one of the Monroes over here when it was a melting day with a shovel to clear the rest of it off. But I just kind of power through it. I'm not going to go out there and have a heart attack. And I so far have not had a situation where I needed some plow person to come and plow it because I don't know how the fuck they would see where to go, and I don't want them tearing my fucking yard up.
Did Plowboy Frazier actually own a plow?
When he was a small plowboy, when he was a little plowboy, he plowed the fields down there in Philadelphia, Mississippi.
All right.
How did that? But your snow. So your snow is okay. You're not good, but the snow is okay.
Yeah, no, we're fine. We can get out and about. The mailman can come here, and DoorDash can come here, and
the mailman can come here. And well, I'm glad. Did you invite him in for coffee, sit and chat around the kitchen table?
If he ever needed a drink, he's more than welcome in my house. He's a wonderful.
Oh, is he a drinker? Well, he's going to come in and have a fucking snort on the job thanks to you?
I didn't say that, and it won't be thanks to me.
You'll be named in the suit when he fucking runs over somebody's mailbox. Well, he got schnookered over at the last place.
Apparently, that is an issue with the snowplows where they go so fast down some of the bigger roads, and not on this street, it's a smaller road, but some of the bigger ones. They just take out all the mailboxes one after another as they're doing it. And the town has to buy a mailbox for them or give them a credit towards a mailbox.
Like reboxing is what they call it.
Reebok, technically, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to know your box is okay, Brian. But I know this is your show also, and I'm going to let you lead the way. Far be it from me to try to dominate the conversation. But I got news from the state of Kentucky. Not even about the weather this time.
I know what
Sometimes
this is. I already know what this is.
Do you know? Well, this was sent to me, but it's not far from here. I mean,
without you telling me,
maybe 100 miles. What now? As the crow flies? What?
Without you telling me, I know what this is because dozens of listeners, if they see anything wacky that happens in Kentucky now, they send it in because you're the authority on Kentucky.
Yeah, well, and I can tell you that I don't know that I've ever seen this gentleman in person, but he looks like a lot of people in Muhlenberg County, Kentucky. Oh, Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County down by the Green River where paradise lay? I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train done hauled it away. He's a legitimate Muhlenberg Countyan. I can tell by his picture, but would you like me to read it not only made the news around the state of Kentucky and apparently nationwide, but I found an article from this is the fucking Mirror in the United Kingdom. This is international news that the people of Kentucky are making. Ladies and gentlemen, a man covered in blood and fur has been arrested after he allegedly had sex with a dead deer. Alan Osborne, 32, was apprehended after a passing driver allegedly witnessed him engage in sexual activity with a dead deer. Now, you've got, again, this does not do justice. I'm ad-libbing here now. This is not the report, but this doesn't do justice to what actually happened. This guy's down in Muhlenberg County, Brian, down by the Green River where paradise lay, on the side of the fucking road while a guy's driving by and he looks and he sees this guy on the side of the road. This is not a major interstate. There's no fucking major interstate. It's just he's on the side of the road fucking a dead deer. So back to the story. The witness called 911 just after 7 p.m. on a Saturday, giving a description of Osborne to the dispatcher. When officers arrived at the scene in Muhlenberg County, they were able to match Osborne to the description given. A police citation report said officers approached Osborne shortly after being alerted and found blood on his hands and face. And the officers also reported finding the suspect with his trousers around his knees, as well as blood and deer fur on his body as they arrested him. I'm not sure, Brian, if do they have enough evidence?
Looking at this man's picture right now, do you think maybe this is a down on his luck mantar?
Actually,
covered in fur. I mean,
I was thinking maybe it was the illegitimate son of Killer Brooks. He's got hair on every part of his head except for the top of it. I think he has like cheekbone hair, doesn't he? Or is that just a shadow in the picture? He's not looking too happy.
Do you think he's trying to make himself look more animal-like to blend in with the night while he's doing this on the side of the road? The side of the road. There's so many different crazy parts of this. He's covered in blood and fur.
I want the 911 call. I'm going down Highway 411 right down outside of Whitesburg, and I'm in Muhlenberg County, and there's a guy on the side of the road, and I swear, now I'm not sure now because I've left my glasses at home, but I think he's some kind of humping a dead deer is laying there because the deer ain't selling him. What in the world?
How do you call that in? I mean, I don't think it was a 911 call. I'm guessing some cop was driving by. He's like, what the fuck?
No, a driver. No, there's no cops just driving. A driver witnessed him fucking the deer on the side of the road and called 911. This is the story has been reported. Giving a description of Osborne to the dispatcher. Yes, fat bald guy with a fucking big beard is humping that deer. A deer can't get away.
You have to question everything if that's what you see. It's kind of like in The Shining when the guy finds the guy dressed like a dog blowing the guy. Like, what the fuck is happening here? I don't understand any of this. On the side of the road.
Oh, wait, there's more. I'm sorry. I saw a plug there and in a picture. I thought that was the end of the story, but he is currently being held at the Muhlenberg County Detention Center. So we got that going for us.
Mule.
And he's charged with sexual crimes against animals, and authorities are continuing their investigation. Osborne is from Muhlenberg County, reports the Central City Police Department. Oh, so he's locked up in Central City. So he ain't getting out of there.
Wow. How far is this from you?
Out the Western Kentucky Parkway, is it 120 miles ish or somewhere right? I haven't been out that way in so long, actually, but not far enough is how far. Not far enough, pal.
That is crazy. How depraved a human being do you need to be?
I mean, for heaven's sake. You know, a live deer, now that's nobody's business as long as it's grown and consenting. But to desecrate a corpse.
That's still awful, although a challenge. It's still awful, I would imagine. And it's still bestiality.
Well.
Remember when Kurt Angle was fed that line? Who was he feuding? It was feuding Booker T. And he was supposed to like be in love with Charmel, and he's like, I want to have bestiality sex with you. And it's like, did they not understand what that means? Why would he say that to her?
Hold on. I'll tell you now, because I don't even remember hearing about that, but I'll tell you exactly what happened. Because Kurt, especially back in those days, was not as worldly as one might think, and I guarantee you that Vince himself said, I want to have bestial sex with you, because now that what we know about Vince, and that's a phrasing that he would use, and Kurt mispronunciated it and intimated that they were of different species.
All right. Well, this has been Kentucky news. Do you think, I mean, this is being covered in England now. Do you think Kentucky man is going to become the new Florida man?
No, because there's not enough of us. So they got way more of those people in Florida. So there's no way that we could catch up.
You have guys fucking dead animals on the side of the road while dressed as a dead animal, and you also have drunk raccoons in the street.
Well, he wasn't dressed as a dead animal.
He was covered in fur and blood. Do you think it was just like it was the fur from
fucking the dead fucking deer?
See, I actually picture him like rolling up, like sneaking up, like dressed like a deer. Like he's actually wearing like the manpower fur, and he's like sneaking up.
No, for heaven's sake, that would have made him way too obvious. That would have made him way too obvious. He was trying to avoid detection. No, kid, have you ever, when's the last time you fucked a deer without getting any fur on you?
I have never.
If it's already bleeding.
Jesus, I don't know anything about this stuff.
Well, see, then don't talk about shit you don't know about, city boy.
This is Kentucky news, ladies and gentlemen. We talk about the snow up here in New Jersey. They talk about the semantics of deer fucking, dead deer fucking.
You're fucking this dead deer. I'm just holding its head.
I'm driving by in a truck.
Yeah.
Well, Jim.
Yes.
That may be Kentucky news. And of course, you can learn more about the wrestling thoughts of one of Kentucky's great men by getting the new book, Heroes and Friends, from Jim Cornette and Cornette'sCollectibles.com.
Well, let's just say you want to educate yourself about some of the greatest superstars in the history of pro wrestling. You can read my new and successful book, Heroes and Friends, and everybody's buying it. Yeah. At JimCornette.com, when you punch that collectibles button, as well as the T-shirts, the autographed pictures, the certificates, as Aunt Lola would say, and much, much more. Fine quality merchandise at low prices. And within the next few weeks, I'm going to be able to reveal what Ochkus and I have been working on for this year. The stage one of new stuff being offered in new ways at JimCornette.com.
Fur pelt outfits that you can wear for your roadside trips.
That's right. See, if you cover yourself up with this thing, and it's got leaves taped to the back, so you're just a pile of leaves.
At JimCornette.com.
At JimCornette.com.
Well, Jim, why don't we stay on the topic of traffic news? This has been sent over by so many listeners that I think we got to start off with it. The video has been released, Vince McMahon's July 2025 car crash on the Merritt Parkway in Connecticut. We'll play some audio and review the actual footage, but why don't we talk a little bit about this and get your opening thoughts?
Well, they apparently got the body camera footage and dash camera footage from not only the cop that was chasing Vince up the Merritt Parkway at 115 miles an hour, but also of a couple of different you get a couple of different viewpoints of what's out there so far, of a couple of the different cops that were that questioned him immediately upon first contacting him, and then they were telling him what was going on. And one of them even said, "I know who you are." But we've told these stories about Vince and now his driving, and that he thinks he's, as he did with everything else, he thinks he's the greatest driver in the world, and he's infallible. And that I think Steve McQueen, would that be his generation? When he gets behind the wheel, he's like, here I go, pal. And he's 80, right? So I think here's exactly what happened. From watching the video of the dash cam of the cop following him, the cop was in an unmarked car, but apparently still had a light on and had been following Vince for however long at the speeds of, he said later on, up to 115 miles an hour or whatever. But Vince is not trying to get away from the guy. I guarantee you that Vince is just in his own world there for a second. And as Vince is in the right lane, he's speeded up because he's got open road in front of him. And he gets up to over 100 miles an hour or whatever the fuck. And the cop had pulled over in the left lane, Brian. You remember, the cop pulls over in the left lane because he's going to try, since there's some open area, they think, to get up beside this maniac. And when Vince suddenly sees this woman that he ended up hitting in front of him, he's going to get over to the left and just whip past her. But that's the point where he glanced into the mirror and saw this fucking car coming up on him. Even if he didn't know it was a cop, but he admits he saw a light later on. I think he saw it right then. And he's the second that he realized, oh, I'm fucked, because here's any car coming up to catch me at 115 or whatever. He didn't react quick enough. And then you see him hit the brakes and try to get over, but he clipped the back left side of her car, and he went all to hell and she went to hell. But I guarantee you that he was so goddamn wrapped up in, this is my road and I own this state and I'm going to get up to Westport for the party or whatever the fuck, that he was just going to go as fast as he wanted to go. And it wasn't until he tried to swerve around that woman that he realized, shit. And that took him a split second and he couldn't make it. Is that what you saw?
I don't know. I'm not going to give Vince the benefit of the doubt that that's what happened, other than he was just driving like a maniac and was trying to get to the exit and he doesn't have the reflexes he used to. I'm not going to say it was because he saw the light. I'm not going to give him that benefit.
Well, I'm not saying he was Mario Andretti, but I'm saying right then, because why else would he just ran into it because he looked back and he's, shit, and he forgot to look forward again. He knew he was cooked. That's what fucking...
This was a Thursday morning. Who has a birthday party for their kid on a Thursday morning? Well, I guess not a little kid, maybe if it's one of the older kids, college age.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves because the audio is classic Vince. As I've mentioned over the years on the program, I've seen Vince talk to several different law enforcement officers. And when he's indignant and it's somebody else's fault, he has a whole different tone than when he's trying to get away with something. And this was fucking classic. I'm just, and did you see also when, the dash cam video, Vince has wiped out and that poor woman, the cop following Vince, you see him pull over and go up to Vince. The woman could have been bleeding to death on the side of the road back there. A fucking carotid artery opened up or whatever. When did they go to her? That's not even shown. But when the body camera footage starts, he walks up to Vince's car, this $300,000 Bentley. Did you see on the ground, the whole side window had fallen completely out of the fucking car and was laying there at the side of it. And there's Vince with his Sputnik Monroe hairdo, and before he rethought that, with his fucking head down.
How about the state of Vince in this? Forget about just, he's driving to a birthday party or whatever. He looked disheveled beyond the crash. His face, too, was just all... It was almost like a cartoon. It was almost like he was a Dick Tracy villain. It was almost like, Dick Tracy villains had like giant faces and they were all like, over the top. That's kind of what he looked like here. And he doesn't seem to have like the use of his mouth at times.
He's false face. No, that's the thing is, that's casual Vince. And I don't think he's wearing any socks either. He stuck his foot out. He had probably some kind of slip-on fucking tennis shoes that cost $500 a pair. And he's got the expensive designer sweatpants on because of his somewhat, disheveled body now. It looks blah. But that's when Vince is all casual and he's going to do something in his $300,000 car. I was surprised he didn't say, here, officer, here's 10 grand in cash. Just go, leave me alone. I have things to do.
Well, on that topic, before, again, we'll play some audio here. Eventually, Vince is in the truck of one of his handlers, his assistants, those twins, I believe. Would anyone else anywhere have been treated this way? I watch a lot of videos on YouTube just recently because they popped up and I got hooked. Of body cam videos of people being arrested. All sorts of crazy women, The crazy women ones are the most fun to watch, to be honest. But all sorts of things and the way cops deal with them, people don't get to drive like that and not get taken in. And he did. They walked up, I know who you are. They were very respectful. It was almost like they were bothering him, not the first guy. The first guy was annoyed. The first guy was following him. But would anyone else anywhere, reasonably, even if they had no criminal record, would anyone have ever been treated as casually as he was there?
No, it sounded like the first guy was fairly young, sounded like to me, and it was one of the cops that was out in the vicinity, right? And just happened to see this guy going 100 miles an hour down the road. And he didn't know who the fuck, I don't know. He didn't know it was Vince McMahon. And I don't know if he knew who Vince McMahon was, if he had known it was Vince McMahon. And he's the one, I don't know why he was so polite. Otherwise, I think he may have been young. He was more polite than most cops I would have ever pulled me over would have been when I was going 78 or whatever, right? But he's like, well, is there a good reason you're going 100 miles an hour? You just hit that woman. We'll hear the audio. But then every other of the ones. But after the other ones, oh yeah, I know you are. Because they've radioed in, he's given the license and the name and oh shit, McMahon, Connecticut, because they're, what are they, 25 miles from Stamford there? Is that up the Merritt? Yeah, not even,
maybe,
right?
Maybe that much, yeah.
And even if you're not a wrestling fan, hate to break it to everybody, in Connecticut, if Linda McMahon tried to run for fucking Senate twice, they've made news on their own besides wrestling. And the cops knew who they were. It's like, oh shit, he's in a $300,000 Bentley. So if he's a 20-year-old black guy, he's a rapper. If he's an 80-year-old white guy, he's a billionaire. If in Connecticut, there's nobody else driving a $300,000 car. And they knew who it was. And then they're all like, well, we don't want to get anybody upset here, but you fucking maniac. Thankfully you didn't kill this woman, or we'd have to figure out a way to probably not take you in.
See, to me, the more reasonable, believable explanation would have been, I know it's early here on the Merritt Parkway, but I noticed in front of me I had open road and I have one exit to go, and I was just going to get there as fast as I could. Because you saw how he killed traffic. At one point, the camera, when the cops are there, you see like all the cars that can't go by anymore because of Vince. Vince shut down the Merritt Parkway.
Yeah. Which again is not a fucking record. It's not a thing that probably, I bet there's 150,000 people in that state that at one time or another have shut down the Merritt Parkway. But usually not for going 115 miles per hour, because there's usually not even a possible way to do that. He was going north at whatever time in the morning, just perfectly instead of the other way. But
well, let's play some audio of this. Again, the dash cam footage, the body cam footage, all of it's come out. Some of the footage of the cop following Vince, there's no audio.
Yeah, we can't really,
But let's go now to Vince McMahon pulled over on the right-hand side of the road after crashing his car, and we'll have a police officer coming up to him.
Just stay in the car. Do you need an ambulance?
No, I don't.
All right. Why were you driving over 100 miles an hour?
It's my granddaughter's birthday. I got to get the next exit.
Right. Did you see me trying to catch up to you behind you?
I didn't see that. I saw lights, but it didn't look normal.
All right. Yeah, I'm trying to catch up to you, and you keep taking off.
Oh, no. I'm not trying to outrun you.
I know. I understand that, but that's why I was very confused.
All right, let's stop there for a moment. Again, it wasn't license registration. Right away, the first question, do you know why you were driving over 100?
Yes. Why were you going 100 miles? Well, it's my granddaughter's birthday. I could not even oh my God, my wife is on a machine. It's my granddaughter's birthday. She'll live to be 8.
One exit away. One exit away.
One exit. I almost got it. That's like saying I almost got away with it. I had the money in my hand from the bank, but I should have turned the corner. But also, the lights didn't look normal.
They don't look normal. They look like lights. I'm used to pyro. Yeah, again, not one answer he's given so far is sufficient to be like, I'm not hauling this guy in.
Exactly. And there's more.
Right? Because it wasn't like you were running. It was just like you almost hit, I think, 115 miles an hour. All right, and then you just hit someone because you weren't paying attention. Were you looking at your phone?
No, trying to drive. No, I'm not looking at my phone.
The person was right in front of you. There's got to be a reason you hit him.
No, the reason I haven't been driving my car, and God knows how long.
Right. It was right in front of you. You went.
Yeah, let's stop right there. They were right in front of him. The cop is great here because he's just like, I didn't see them. They were right in front of you. How did you not see them?
What? The explanation. I haven't driven his car in some time. There's no possible way that I could have known that I was traveling 115 miles an hour, and B, that there's someone in front of me, because I haven't driven his car. This $300,000 car that I just usually it sits in the driveway. I don't have time.
You don't hear about too many other wild Bentley accidents happening all over the place and other billionaires. I haven't driven in a while. I lost control. The gas pedal is just so firm. But let's go back to Vince McMahon.
Straight at it. At 100 miles an hour. I'm just making sure you're not having a medical condition or anything. Do you need an ambulance?
No, fuck, I don't think so.
All right. Just your registration. Is your license in here?
No, it's in my pocket.
All right.
And by the way, it appears that Vince had everything kind of ready as the guy was walking up to him. He was going for his registration. That's why he handed it to him there. He had everything kind of ready to go. He knew what was going to happen.
Oh, well, of course.
Stupid fucking fool.
What do you think of that? Vince calling himself stupid fucking fool.
Now, here we go. Not only, here's two things. He really is mad at himself because he has made an error. He has made a mistake, and that means he's not perfect. He's had a traffic accident, which is exposed to at least this person in front of him that he's not the world's greatest driver. But also, now he's thought of something. He's thought of a plan. He thought of a grinchly old plan. He'll start berating himself out loud so that the cop could go, well, no way, it's not all that bad, and try to swerve his situation around some kind of way.
So you think that's a strategy?
It's both. He's really mad at himself, but he's using it for fucking his own purposes.
I've driven this car quite some time.
It's fast, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, too fucking fast.
So there you go. You can identify, pal.
What's that?
I say you can identify. He's like giving the cop, you can identify, pal, too fucking fast. Oh, hey, we're in these chases and shit. He's trying to get in some kind of way here.
Before I press play again, just looking at the state of the car, the airbag is out. There's all sorts of shit hanging from the top. The window is gone.
The airbag was hanging in the shape of Linda's face.
Oh, all right. Let's go back to the audio.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. I got it.
Well, Jim, let's stop it here for a moment because now we have a different camera angle. Vince McMahon is in an SUV, a gray SUV with tinted windows. There is another police officer in front of the officer that was the first one with the body cam, and he's now talking with Vince, who is hanging out the window, practically. Let's go to this.
He's not hanging out the window.
It looks awkward.
He's sitting in, but he's leaning somewhat out the window to speak to these people. And now remember, I think he's got to the annoyed part because this is significant time has passed and he's been out there for a while, and I can tell he's cooking.
Did the brief from his car or
Robbins was following me, and I feel about 3 miles an hour. She's reckless driving. All right, so charging with reckless driving and following too closely resulting in an accident. That's just striking the other car from the rear. So your court date is going to be the 26th of August, all right, at Stanford Superior Court. That's 123 White Street. All right, is that date okay?
Is that date okay?
Is that date okay? So, and this answers the question that we had asked and wondered about before was, did they take him in? Because some wording of this incident that was reported said he was arrested or he was charged or whatever. But it was never clear whether they just let somebody come and pick him up. He sat on the side of the road. They gave him a fucking ticket for running into this woman at 120 miles an hour. And asked if the court date would be okay or wouldn't they, and here you go.
If you have any problem, you can always call the court and change it. So I just need just any phone number where I can contact you.
Please, criminal, please tell the police force where you are so that we can just call you on the phone every once in a while and make sure you're still there.
And it doesn't appear from this that Vince knows his phone number, because someone else has to give the phone number.
Well, in all fairness, how often does he call himself?
Maybe something, because it goes on all these forms. So is there like another number, assistance number, or 914? What's that? 355 1028.
So wait a minute here also. They just got the assistance number rather than putting Vince's, that's what it was. Vince didn't want to give his personal number out. And the cop agreed, it goes on all these forms. Well, just an assistance number or whatever.
Okay. So this is just a court summons. I have to do a copy if you can sign at the bottom. You're not saying you're guilty, just saying you're going to go to court. Okay. And this is the appearance bond. Right? I'm releasing you on a $500 non-shooting bond, which means you're not putting up any money. Okay?
Jesus H. Christ.
What? We're releasing you on a $500 bond. How are they doing that? What does that mean? I don't know how that works. He didn't just pay them. I mean, how did that work?
No, I think it's a non-secured bond where he has to pay $500 if he doesn't show up. So that if he doesn't show up to court, they're going to track him down to get $500 from him. But I mean, it's different in every state, and let's not get mired down in the different statutes and traffic, legalities of state by state. But the point is, for absolutely nothing except here's your ticket and you're going to have to come to court or send your attorney to court, one or the other, and at such and such date in the future, they let him run into this woman, cause this chaos, and be free.
Court summons copy, just bring that to court and we'll do a copy of it. Mr. McMahon. It's nice meeting you. I'm sorry I was under this circumstances. All right, just let the court know what happened. Everybody's okay, yeah? All right. Have a good day, sir. Nice to meet you.
To meet you guys.
Yeah, no. Happy birthday to your granddaughter. Try to enjoy the rest of the day, all right?
Thank you.
All right.
They all shook his hand, wished his grandmother happy birthday, and then told him to have a great day.
Try to have a good rest of your day. Hey, nice to meet you. And once again, it would normally be, boy, you gonna come into my county driving like that and endangering the citizens of my town? I'm gonna put you under the jail.
If it was anyone else, they would have had him on the ground with guns pointed at him. Why are you driving like that? It's my granddaughter's birthday, obviously.
What I was waiting for at at the end of it, if only they had said, if you don't have any more questions, you're free to go. But that's, Vince's driving has always been suspect, but that is a level he couldn't have pulled that off 25 years ago. And remember I told you with my story of the rookie cop giving him that ticket and him peeling out and blowing gravel on the kid, but he still got the ticket. But he couldn't have pulled something like that 25 years ago before he became a billionaire making news and Linda ran for Senate in the state and they're all buddies with Trump and et cetera, et cetera.
Maybe he could have in Connecticut, because again, that's ground zero for Vince and Linda's political spending. Even before she ran for office, they did everything they could to make sure they were in good locally in Greenwich and in Stamford with the powers that be. There was a reason Linda was going to like all these dinners and stuff in the late 80s. She was the mingler. So, I mean, I've always made sure that they had a cozy relationship with the local government in Connecticut since WWF started.
Well, I don't,
under Vince and Linda.
This is a new level of kid gloves. But and I asked you right before we started the show, now that I think about it, I've told so many stories because everyone was to Vince driving in the rain and Vince getting stopped and getting the ticket and Vince John with the airline pilot for going to the wrong airport and blah, blah, blah. We got pulled over by the cops one time when I was driving. And it was Vince and Jim Ross and Bruce Pritchard in a car. And I don't remember whether I told you that or not, but I will mention it now because I thought of it. But it wasn't like for any goddamn major deal, but they ribbed me. We had been at this back in the days when we would do like, say, Superstars on one night and challenge the syndicated days, 96. And we would be at TV tapings 2 or 3 days in a row, right? And they would book them within a couple of hours of each other so that you could drive. And I can't even remember where it was, but we had flown to a location. Maybe we were Detroit one night, Grand Rapids the next night. And Vince has decided we're going to all stay in the same town all 2 to 3 nights, whatever, and we'll drive over and back for if it's Grand Rapids or wherever the fuck it is. And some way or another, because I think JR didn't want to deal with Vince driving that morning, he convinced Vince that Vince should sit in the back seat and look at his book with him. Corny, you drive. And so, okay, right. So I'm driving the rental car and it's a beautiful sunny day and I'm not particularly going too fast, but it's over the speed limit, 75-ish, whatever, on the interstate. And all of there's the fucking lights. I'm getting pulled over. God damn it. And then when the cop pulls over, I said, don't worry. I said, I don't think I have any traffic infractions he's going to fucking haul me out of the car for or anything. And I realized I've left my wallet in my briefcase, which is in the trunk. So I said, officer, my wallet's in the briefcase in the trunk. Okay, pop the trunk. He hasn't seen he sees it's 4 regular looking white guys, right? He's not a particularly wrestling fan, I don't think, per se, where he's immediately gone gaga over us, right? I get in my briefcase. Guess what I ain't got in my briefcase, Brian? Are you there?
I thought that was one of those you're going to answer anyway, but obviously it must be your driver's license.
Well, it's my wallet, because I realized I took my wallet out the night before to pay for the pizza that I got delivered to the fucking room. And I set it on the counter in my goddamn hotel room and left it there. And I said, officer, I said, look at this. We're like distinguished middle-aged Caucasian fellows. I said, they can tell you who I am and you can run. I give you my social security number. I've got a driver's license. I'm from Kentucky. I'm a good old boy. Never meaning no harm. I tell him who I am, I said, you can ask them, whatever. So he has me sit in the back seat of his car and he goes up to ask them. He comes back, he says, they said your name is James E. Cornette. Because Vince had really told him that my name was James E. Cornette because that's what he was convinced it was. But after he kind of busted up laughing. They had tried to get him. They told him who I was. And they said it must be in some way Vince had charmed him enough to where he got the cop to try to play a rib on me about you're going to jail because they said you've got a different name and blah, blah, blah. But he couldn't go through with it. So it kind of ended with a fart, but I was momentarily, my sphincter was puckering. And then he gave me a warning. He said, remember your driver's license. And we continued on to Grand Rapids or whatever. But see, that's the thing. Vince, it's funny as shit when it's somebody else either fucking up or getting cross-interrogated by the law. But when it's him, it's a different story.
It would have been funny if you crawled out of the woods when he got pulled over, covered in fur and blood. Vince, there's your receipt. Well, that's the Vince McMahon driving story. Of course, what exactly what he got off with. Vince McMahon.
Well, I don't want to know what he got off with, but can you tell what the final dispensation of his case was?
Hold on. Vince McMahon, according to this, let's see. In October, a judge allowed McMahon to enter a pre-trial program with the condition that the charges would be dismissed if he made a $1,000 donation and maintained proper licensing and insurance.
What?
Yeah.
Well, it's already, you're supposed to maintain a proper license and insurance anyway.
Yeah, I don't know why that would be one of the requests after crashing your car out at 115 miles per hour.
So $1,000 and we'll just forget. There's going to be certainly there would have to be a civil suit unless it's somebody from Vince's side reaches out to somebody from whatever this woman's name is side, Jane Doe, and says, here's $5 or $6 million.
Well, we will stay on top of the Vince McMahon driving news as it happens. If he drives again, I'm sure there'll be another incident. But Jim, makes you think about all the success Vince McMahon had that led to this point. Vince McMahon and Linda McMahon took over his father's business, using company funds to pay for it, pretending like they somehow got that money differently, but that's what it was.
That had been running and expanding upon itself to many times over for the previous 20 years.
But so much of what he did was about the way he promoted himself, and so much of it was about the sales, the merch sales, the toys, the tickets, pay-per-views. That's
the rags, paper, and pins.
So to speak, a nice plug for CornettesCollectibles.com, but the point is, Vince McMahon, if he started today, I would have to imagine he would need the right support. And if he wasn't a complete pervert and a train wreck of a human being, maybe he could work with someone like our friends at Shopify.
Well, I'll tell you, but the train has left the station on that one, and Buster Keaton has run it right off the fucking bridge. But right now, folks, Shopify is what you can use to achieve what Vince has done without the perversion. That's the making of the millions and millions of dollars. Because if Vince had an idea, he had to make it a reality the old-fashioned way by lying, cheating, stealing, and screwing people over. But now that there's the internet, you can cut the middle people out. You don't have to lie and cheat and steal and screw people over. You can go directly to the consumer and just take their money. And Shopify will tell you how and help you do it. They'll have a hand in your hand while both of your hands goes in somebody else's pocket.
Not
Because
the way we
Shopify-
should be explaining or describing any of this. Again, we're talking about honest, genuine business, commerce on the up and up.
Yes. What do you think honest, genuine business is? Putting your hand in somebody else's pocket. Folks, Shopify, there you go. And that kid, I'll clothesline him if he runs close enough to me again. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world, 10% of all the United States e-commerce, and 82.7% of all the e-commerce coming from the Isle of Malta. All three people, they're related. You can get started with your own design studio, folks. At Shopify, you can accelerate your efficiency with helpful AI tools. You can get the word out of the Shopify marketing team who will scream your name to the rooftops and off the mountaintops and down on top of the flat tops. And there you go. And the kids will be screaming about it as they're riding bicycles down the street. And if people haven't heard about your brand, Shopify will expose you. They will send pictures of you in positions you've never dreamed of. I'm sorry, that's what happens if you don't give them their cut. And if you get stuck, folks, Shopify is always around to share advice with their award-winning 24/7 customer support, because it's all about the support. You need support. You need to be lifted up, a helping hand. Because after all, if athletes, what are athletes without their supporters? Well, what would you be without somebody cupping your balls? So, if you want to tackle all the important tasks in one place, from inventory to payments to analytics and more, there's no need to shop around with multiple people. Shopify does everything right in the middle there, and they have the iconic purple throbbing shop pay button that is used by millions of businesses around the world. And if we could figure out just a way to hack into that, boy, imagine every time somebody presses that button,
we don't want to hack.
You get 1 penny. Just if they just shave 1 penny off, and we could hide it some way.
This illegal
in the
scheme
middle
is
there.
not going to happen. It's also impossible. You don't have any technical capabilities to make it happen. So the listeners don't need to worry about it. What you need to worry about is nothing. Don't worry. The point is, be happy and anticipate sales. That's what we want to say.
What I did was I took a wire coming from my wall for the internet, and I took some duct tape, which I figure, it transmits the signal also, and I taped it to the little purple shop pay button and waited, thinking if somebody hit it that it would send a charge through, but it didn't. I didn't get a penny. I was penniless, but Shopify will make you a fortune. And right now, it's time to turn all of that "who shot John" that I just said into money and chinging. With Shopify today by signing up for your $1 a month trial period. Oh, it looks like a cab hit the kid with the fucking door open. $1 a month trial period today at Shopify.com/JCE to turn your dreams into reality, to turn your pennilessness into richosity, and you'll have more. You'll be farting through silk and shitting in tall cotton and rolling in fat dough. Shopify.com/JCE.
All right. Well, Jim.
Yes.
Let's stay on the topic of WWE. Before we get to Raw, some news that came out last week, and we haven't had a chance to talk about it. The passing of Kerwin Silfies.
Oh, and yes, and we just unfortunately didn't think about it when we were doing the show last week when it happened, and I didn't want anybody to think that we were glossing him over. I mean, I worked with Kerwin for a short period of time, couple of years, while I was, up there in Stamford and doing the WWF, well, several years overall, doing the WWF TVs, but more when I was just coming in as a talent. We never saw the guys in the truck because it was chaos and a smaller crew at that point. And obviously we, spoke, but didn't spend a lot of time together. But then as I started to spend more time when I lived there at the studio and or on the road in the truck as a producer, Kerwin he was a great director, just a great TV director and a nice guy, and very, I don't know how to even describe it, but very calm and cool, especially under pressure. It was like almost a kind of a distinguished Yankee version of Lawler, where I've said before it, Lawler never got upset about anything. If you ran in and said they were playing cards, you said, "King, the fucking building's on fire." Well, I guess this have to be the last hand. Kerwin was kind of a northern version of that. He was very cool and calm, dry, understated. The generator's blown up. Well, I wonder if we can get another one. There's just nothing that's, gonna flap him. But he did a lot. I don't know how long it's been. They let him go into pandemic, so he was doing a lot of the modern day WrestleManias that are 15 camera shoots or 20 camera shoots or whatever they are. This was complicated shit. He was very good at what he did. And again, I didn't realize he was only 75, because when I was there, he seemed like he had been there forever. I would have thought he was older even than that. But he, I guess, started, 41 years ago, whatever.
Well, our sympathies to the friends and the fans of the work of Kerwin Silfies. And Jim, with that, we shall return with the Raw review right after this short commercial timeout. All right, we return. Jim, now that the music has got you in the mood, why don't we talk about WWE Raw? Usually I don't look forward to the Raw reviews, but there was some noteworthy stuff this week, and the road to WrestleMania is getting interesting, but maybe for all the wrong reasons.
They forgot the winter has caused some potholes in that road. And that's why I haven't paid a lot of attention to Raw over the last several weeks because, boy, it's 2.5 hours. And and I think you will agree with me, I don't think this is a controversial statement to make, a lot of long stretches where between the commercials and the plugs and the falderall backstage and nothing happens for long periods of time on this program. And then
I agree.
So it's a bit of a slog, but we're coming up on the Elimination Chamber, which I get we'll have next week on a drive-through. Oh, joy, oh, bliss. And it's the road to WrestleMania, and they've already had a few changes, so I'm trying to pay more attention. They're in Atlanta. They're honoring AJ Styles. I mean, well, this will be just swell, and boy, howdy, here I'm not even saying this was a bad show, but goddamn bad things keep happening. So let's start out and go in order. They were in Atlanta, Georgia. This was February 23rd, the State Farm Arena. I think the Omni was a cooler name, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Omni always sounded super cool.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't the Dunkin' Donuts Center. There actually is one of those. I think it's in Providence.
The Yum brand.
The Yum Center.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Yum Center is even better than Dunkin' Donuts Center because we could pretend like a fucking rich Chinese guy bought the thing. But anyway, they started out with Gunther. Okay, I like Gunther. And he came out and he interrupted Michael Cole and Corey Graves and their spiel about honoring and celebrating AJ's career. And so why celebrate a loser? That's all you like in Atlanta is losers like Goldberg and Cena and AJ are losers. I kill their careers. You should celebrate me. Okay, he's got some heat, but I'm not complaining about Gunther, I'm complaining about, unfortunately, a set of circumstances he has to work with. Even though they're booing him, Brian, when they cut to the crowd, people are still, they're happy to be there. They're smiling, booing. Yeah, boo you. And it just, it just takes all the fun out of it for us old timers who remember when they would have given their left nut to be able to stick a knife in us. Anyway, So at that point, Adam Pearce comes out and he's trying to shut Gunther up like, no, that's enough. It's enough. But his mic is feeding the air, but it's not feeding the PA. So Gunther can't hear him yelling, that's enough. That's enough. And finally, just as Adam is almost down the aisleway, and he realizes he's hitting the microphone, trying to make him pot it up in the building. And finally he says, God damn it. And that's when it came up. And if it added to the, to the realism of the thing, he's really trying to get this goddamn stopped. And Pierce tells, there's poor old Hurricane Helms and 4 indie guys as security. Take him out. And Gunther laughs, I'm going to leave anyway because I'm of my own free will, but I think you're all, fucking goofy, whatever. The security guards look like scared children. And it's like they're cops trying to arrest Vince McMahon. They're pleading with him, please go with us, sir. Please don't hurt us, sir. Just walk with us, if you will.
Happy birthday to your granddaughter.
Yeah. But suddenly, out of nowhere, Dragon Lee jumps Gunther. And they have a little flurry and they get him apart and they leave. And then they go to the back and Dragon Lee jumps Gunther again. And they have a bigger pull apart. And they take Dragon Lee out. I don't want to see Dragon Lee fight Gunther unless Gunther just chops his chest so hard that his head rolls into the 14th row. But they got Dragon Lee out of there, and then continuing with promo night, Cody walks in and stares at Gunther and then turns left and walks out and makes his entrance. And we went into a whole new promo segment. But what did you think about the first promo segment, Brian?
I thought it was kind of all right when he did it, maybe a couple of weeks ago. I mean, he's still doing the AJ thing. Obviously, it's AJ night, but then it just goes nowhere. That's the end of Gunther for the entire night. That seems like kind of a waste. I don't know. And if it was going somewhere, and again, this is not what they're doing, but like if a Brock Lesnar was going to redeem, for all the guys that he's talked down about after he retired them, I'm going to shut you up. Then it's something. But for Dragon Lee to be the guy, not even Cody, just anyone else, not even anything against Dragon Lee, but
what about Doc Gallows?
Gunther's a main eventer. Gunther's one of their main eventers, and he's not 40 yet, is he? I don't know.
No. Well, but if he is, he carries it well. That's the point is.
He's fresher still somehow.
Unless they're just going to have, it's a TV match or whatever, and they're going to have Gunther just knock the fuck out of Dragon Lee. I don't know why.
This is 2 weeks in a row. That's what I'm saying. It's not like this is just a one-time thing. This is 2 weeks in a row they've done this for Dragon Lee, and that's what's questionable to me, unless they really have big plans for Dragon Lee. But if you're just going to have Gunther squash him, why are you giving us so much? Why is this taking over the Gunther segments every week?
Well, it's Dragon. You're right. It's Dragon.
Dragon
but
Lee.
And I've been wanting to see Gunther and Brock Lesnar just because I want to see the match. That's a dream match of mine. Everybody else gets their goddamn dream matches with Okada versus fucking Nagasaki. Why can't I have my goddamn dream match? But they're not going to do it now because obviously people would actually be interested in it. And that's not what WrestleMania is about. It's not about putting the matches together that people want to see really badly, so you won't get it. Well, but here's the thing. I'm not saying that we won't get it eventually, but I think they're, especially now, they're going to probably go in some kind of different direction, maybe than what they were originally going to go with Brock. But making Gunther a strong heel and the way they're positioning Brock as a strong heel, they're not going to do it anytime soon. But then here comes Cody out to the ring. And this is our second in-ring or out in the arena promo segment. And we're 10 minutes into the show. And they're happy to see Cody. They're singing his song or his name or various things, dirty limericks. They're singing those, whatever. And then he starts talking about AJ, and within 10 seconds, boom, they play the music, and here comes the Vision, which is getting more nearsighted all the time. And you got Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and Paul E. And Theory did a couple of good lines. Logan Paul took over. Again, he's an annoying heel. And then basically that was to set up that, Logan Paul said Bronson Reed is going to win his qualifier for the Elimination Chamber to go and then to do all these things that we've said we're going to fucking do. And it starts right now. And Cody says, well, I know somebody that'll disagree with you. And they play the Usos music. And here come these two chuckle fucks from the attic. And the music and the yeeting. And by the time they get to red, then they go to a break. I believe they went to a break. Yes, they did. And then when they came back, El Grande Americano was in there or whatever the fuck. And then 20 minutes into the show, they start the first match, which is the three-way qualifier with Bronson Reed, Jey Uso, and El Grande Americano. And they went 2 minutes and went to another break. I'm like, fuck, this is a hard show to get to the meat of. But anyway, I hate to beat a dead Samoan, but it stood out here. Jey Uso's timing is fucking rotten. There was a style clash amongst everybody here because Reed against Gable would have been fine. But when you put Jay in the middle, it wasn't gelling for anybody doing anything. Was it for you?
I'm not a Jey Uso in-ring fan. So I was not surprised by what it was, and it was exactly what you're describing.
It was not congealing. More like it was festering. But anyway, and then they'd get rid of Gable, and they had a little Reed and Jay, and then they'd get rid of the other guy. But finally, in a series of clusterfucks, I'm trying to see if I can recap this. Gable gave Jay a German suplex and then was going to go to the top and do a diving headbutt. Well, when Gable gave Jay the German suplex and he looked at him and Jay was rolling over to the flat of his back to sell, and Gable goes the top rope, Jay continues, does another entire roll all the way over to the far side of the fucking ring. So then Gable gets up at the top and he says, where'd the fucking guy go? So he tries to diving headbutt all the way to the other side of the ring, but lands about 1 foot short and covers him anyway. And then Bronson Reed makes a save by just diving over the top of him and not even really grabbing, with not a lot of exertion, just pulling Gable off the thing, and then immediately sold his arm. Turned and looked and grabbed his bicep and looked at his arm and made the motions you make. And there was no reason, because I didn't notice this really till I went back. Did you notice it when you watched it first until
No.
it developed?
No, I didn't see it until we were told it happened, or until it was obvious that something happened.
Well, that's the thing, is that then Gable and Uso did something else, and then Gable gave Bronson Reed a German suplex and got a 2 count. And that's when Reed turned over again, talked to the referee and said something about his arm or gestured to his arm, and they went to commercial break, which was their planned spot, I believe, anyway, because, it didn't look amiss there. But when they came back, there was Uso and Gable on the floor by the announce desk fighting. And the doctor was on the other side of the ring checking on Bronson Reed. And they said, well, Reed seems to have suffered an injury. And you never saw him again. So then there was, I mean, you can tell the referee comes over to the other side and tells Jay and then tells Gable something, which was obviously the change of plans. Guess what? And they got up and tried to milk a superplex thing where they could have a conversation on a top rope, and then called something which ended up with Gable getting the ankle lock and Uso rolling through and hitting him with a spear and splash 1, 2, 3. So Jay is now going to the Elimination Chamber because they had to call an audible because Reed was supposed to win the match, but he was on the floor incapacitated. And I went back and I can't see how he has torn his bicep is what he's done. And I went back and not just the save where he first, sold his arm, but moves before that. He did a wheelbarrow lift onto Gable, but it didn't register any pain or any twinge or sell his arm in any way. And the actual rolling save that he didn't seem to either extend it or in a ridiculously hyperextend it. There was no pressure or weight on it. I don't know how he fucking did it.
I see some people on social media saying it's when he dove over to break up the pin. When El Grande Americano was trying to pin Jey Uso.
Well, but that's the thing.
When he gets up, he looks right at his arm. I'm watching it right now.
But there's nothing like the other week when, what's his name? The fucking guy that just debuted, Jake Doyle at AEW. When he was DDT'd on the apron of the ring, he was holding on to the top and never let go. And you could see that his arm was jerked violently at a sharp angle. This is not that. And I'm not saying that he's not hurt. I'm not saying it's a work or a conspiracy. It's just, it had to be some kind of freak fucking thing. Was there something in that wheelbarrow suplex lift thing that he did that put it on the goddamn edge and then just, it snapped like a hot rubber band? I don't know.
It could just be the way he landed. I keep watching it now in slow motion. It looks like he may have put an entire body weight on that arm and...
No, that's the other arm.
No, it's the arm that he...
No. Look, he turns a flip. It's the right arm that he tore and it's the left shoulder he lands on.
Oh, okay. Let me watch this again.
Okay. Wait, now watch it again now.
I don't know what the hell could have done it. Yeah.
Yeah. See?
You know what's funny? When I put into the Twitter search Bronson Reed to see if anyone had a video of it, the first thing that comes up is a tweet he put out a couple days ago. Doing bicep curls, listening to Pantera, thinking about all the people I want to punch in the head.
Oh, with my left hand. So, I mean,
we are in the middle of a weird run where we've seen over the last month, in AEW, Jake Doyle went down, and then Ishii went down this past week. With WWE, it's more significant because these are the main eventers. Even if you don't talk about Rollins, because that's more than a month now. Braun Breaker.
Well, it's the same group, not even the same promotion. That's why Heyman's vision is getting short-sighted. He needs to fucking get some binoculars and look further out ahead of staff for his roster. Seth Rollins, it goes down, gets hurt. Did they add Logan Paul? They didn't add Logan Paul until Seth got hurt, right?
That's right, after he got hurt.
Then they bring Theory in, but Braun evens that out by Braun got hurt. Now, but at least they had fucking 3, but now Reed's hurt. So it's an Agatha Christie novel, not a fucking WrestleMania main event build.
Do you have to add members? What do you do?
No, because that's the sad thing. I mean, Brock Lesnar is still affiliated with Paul, so there's always a chance that something he could do someone's bidding in the video or whatever group. I don't say do bidding like a stooge, but he could be brought into it if it was a gripe that Paul had also. But if you just add people now to add them, then you've cheapened the specialness of the group. It'd be like throwing in Horsemen, which they did, and it cheapened the group, or throwing in everybody in the NWO, etc. And it's going to be months, not years, that, you know, these guys are going to be out with these injuries, but still it's just right before WrestleMania. And with all of these guys, we're going to be figured into something, obviously. And now even if Rollins makes it back, does he start with Logan Paul? It just, there's that's the problem, is you can't just squat down and poop main event guys into the main event group anytime you want them. That's why they're so special. But can you remember any time where 3 guys out of an original 3-man group that has now been expanded to fucking 5 have all been hurt within a 4-month period?
Not since the Drifters. Benny King got out with his life. Lucky man.
He was hiding under the boardwalk, hoping they wouldn't.
That's right. Or up on the roof, one or the other.
Yeah, he was either low or high. That's where George Clinton got that from. So high you can't get over it, so low you can't get under it, so wide. Well, here's a chance to dance our way out of our restrictions and back to Raw. It was 40 minutes into the show now, and we've had 2 promos and a shortened 3-way where the wrong guy won because one of the WrestleMania main eventers was fucking injured. I don't know if this was the best Raw for me to start paying attention to, Brian. Do you?
And I guess we should say it here, too. It was later in the show that Michael Cole made the announcement that Bronson Reed had tore his bicep and was out indefinitely.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like the old days you had mystery for a day. Like, oh, did he get hurt? What's going to happen? They announced it right away.
Well, but at the same point, I knew that fucking guy, he dove off the top of the cage and broke his foot or whatever the fuck. He's a big, tough son of a bitch, and he's supposed to win a match to put him into the fucking main event of the pay-per-view this weekend. Unless he knew he was completely fucked and there wasn't even use trying, there's no way he would have got back in that ring and done something to finish the match. So I knew already, well, he would have come in there like the fucking Black Knight in the goddamn Monty Python movie, dragging his fucking leg and his teeth. But he knew enough that why should I win this? Because I'm fucked anyway. So just get me the fuck out of here.
I feel bad. I mean, how many times has he been hurt? Right when they were giving him the push?
Yeah.
Right? Several times it's happened to him.
And this one more thing, and then we'll move on to the next topic. But I don't want... Well, I shouldn't say that. Every once in a while, I wish, I'm so sick of this one sumbitch. I wish he'd just dive on his head. But you don't root for people to be hurt for real. But you can also understand why they are in some cases when they do a lot of stupid things and just the law of averages, right? But this was not, he didn't do anything stupid here. Diving off the cage, breaking his foot, that may not have been the most well-advised thing he's ever done, but there was nothing out of the way here. Just a freak fucking thing. And just at the wrong time. Snake bit is what Dennis Condrey would say.
Well, good luck, Austin Theory and Logan Paul and Paul Heyman. Let's see what happens to those 3. But back to Raw.
Back to Raw. So... then they did 30 minutes of girls' business. And then here came Brock Lesnar with Paul Lee. So at least Paul Lee's got Brock to fall back on as his whole group just, you know, and it's not good for a man of Paul's age to have stress like this. I worry about it. But I'll tell you, Brian, did you know this in all seriousness? I noticed this and I wrote this down. Did you notice that I think Paul Lee is losing weight? Legitimately, he was barely bigger than Brock.
In all seriousness, no, I did not notice.
I'm thinking, hey.
You can't say anything about this guy. It doesn't sound like you're making fun of him.
No, I'm serious. I'm like, fuck, is he going to kill my gimmick? He looked like he's down below 300. So let's keep an eye on him. Just see if you see him shrinking away. Possibly it's a flesh-eating disease. I don't know. But he'll live a long life, even if it is.
All right, back to this promo.
Go back to the promo. So Paul cuts the promo. Brock doesn't have to say a word, and this is wrestling. You got the monster that everybody believes in, everybody knows is a fucking badass or a fucking, just a human wrecking machine. And you got the sarcastic, wise-ass manager to cut the promo for him. Paul did better with this than anybody else would have, but there's not a lot of meat on this fucking Yardbird here. He had to come out and basically say, well, everybody knows there was two main events at WrestleMania, the world title match and the Taker streak. And he broke the Taker streak. So he took over that spot. Whoever faces Brock is the main event at WrestleMania. And who's going to face Brock at WrestleMania? Who knows? So, and this is probably the truth. So they put up on the screen the dates that Brock is going to be in. Are they all Raws? I believe they are.
I didn't notice actually. Maybe though.
But whatever the fuck. But the dates he's going to be at WWE shows between now and WrestleMania, and issues an open challenge. If anybody's man enough to come down the aisle and get in Brock's face and blah, blah, and suffer the consequences. He did it great, as Paul does, and built up Brock Lesnar. But I hope somebody good steps up, because there's nothing to talk about. They're under 8 weeks, and there's nothing to talk about here. Where the manager has to come out. I don't know who he's going to face at WrestleMania. Let's see. If they've got a good plan, then I'll be happy and I will compliment them. But if people keep dropping and they keep shuffling the fucking deck because, remember when we talked about the Unreal season, when one guy gets out of one thing, you got to take a guy out of to replace him. Well, then what does that guy's thing do? Then you got another guy free and a blah, blah, blah. But that was it. And then they left. And so Brock made untold amounts of thousands of dollars to come out to the fucking ring, not slip and fall down, and let Paul talk about him. Which is a heck of a job.
So now what? Because this has to be something that matters. And there aren't too many options. We talked about Gunther before. I said that's a match that actually people would be excited about, whether or not it should happen now or not. I'm just talking about the feeling, the excitement. There aren't a lot of options. What if it's Obafemi? Do you think that would satisfy the fans? Because at least it's, oh my God, what's going to happen here?
Well, and I say the reason why I don't think it's going to be Gunther is because they're putting so much effort into still putting heat on Gunther as a complete heel rather than a guy we might respect, blah, blah, blah. If it's Obafemi's got to win. And are they ready to do that? They better be pretty goddamn sure about Obafemi and what he can do and whether he can pull it off before they take the cachet out of Brock Lesnar's bank account by having him do a job. And if they can pull it off where Obafemi looks like Tom McGee against Bret Hart, then they've made a superstar. If it becomes Tom McGee versus anybody else, then they have shit to bed.
Trying to think of other options. What about Sami Zayn? Would that satisfy the fans?
Against who? What? To do where?
Against Brock. I'm trying to think of who would come out there to challenge Brock.
I don't see that as, I mean, again, it would be a good match. Sammy would be a human crash test dummy and sell his ass off, and Brock would look like a monster, but I don't see them using, again, the same thing is why beat Sammy up like that unless he was going to win, and he shouldn't win. Over Brock's probably going to wrestle a handful of times, one would think, for this company between now and whenever he's done. And I'd like to see one of them with Gunther. I don't even know that it needs to be the first time Brock gets beat. Maybe Gunther retires Brock at the end of next year or whatever. I just want to see the fucking match. I think it would be just swell. But they've got to be real careful. If lightning strikes 4 times on Brock Lesnar, then they have ruined anybody beating him being special. He needs to get beat maybe now and maybe at the end and not in between even. See what I'm saying?
Then Obafemi may be the best option because I don't think there's a lot of other guys ready to be elevated who are ready to beat Brock and need that. Obafemi, it would help. He just came up. They've used him relatively well. It would really establish him. And you got to think Heyman would be behind it if they actually went with it. And that would help. But I don't think it'll be Jericho because I don't think Jericho's taking all those suplexes.
Oh, fuck no. My God. Jericho would shatter like a fucking Fabergé egg at this point. But if they kept it short and explosive and Heyman laid it out, as long as Obafemi didn't like charge and miss and fall out of the fucking ring accidentally, then they could have something.
Well, we shall see. Right? Kevin Owens is still out with a neck injury for a while. That ain't coming back any. That's not the guy to wrestle your first match back after having a broken neck.
No.
There aren't. I mean, it either has to be a main eventer or someone.
Wait a minute. I mean, could Kevin Owens be in the box? Would Kevin Steen be trying to get even with me after all these years? I'll show you. That could be something there. You never know.
A lot of people seem to think it'll be Danhausen in the box, but I can't imagine they'd do all this for that.
Not unless he's, fucking wearing the sponsor's T-shirt.
Right. Not unless he's bringing Slim Jim with him. Like, that's the only way that would work.
Here's my pal Slim Jim. All right. Speaking of, this is a perfect transition. You know who was up next on Raw's Parade of Terror? Our boy Javon Evans, who wrestled Kofi Kingston, who was the previous leapy, jumpy, springy, flying high in the air fellow. And I like Evans better than Kofi. Evans is, 21 years old. He was a teenager in the Carolinas, right? Is that where he's from? Georgia, somewhere in the Southeast. And I liked him better than Kofi. I mean, Kofi's a pro and he's experienced, but Evans stood out here. Part of it, he's working his ass off, but he's got the facials and the emotion and the timing. I mean, I'm not even talking about the fucking moves. With that appearance, he's in shape. He's got about 0.2% body fat.
Like a young Wyndham.
Barry Windham would be considered one of the McGuire twins next to Javon Evans's level of skinny. Now, come on. Because, I mean, Evans is in shape. He's ripped, as Arn would say. But he's an underdog. He's got the emotion. He's got and he lets things breathe, and then he explodes with something. It isn't just the floor exercise routine. And anyway, they did they had a fine match.
The way he sold his knee, that was so impressive. Because I was really looking at his facial expressions after you brought that up last time. And you believe him for a second when he starts selling his knee.
Well, and the only reason that I kind of didn't go with it was because I thought, just by the law of averages, there's no way this motherfucker just got hurt 10 minutes after Bronson Reed, right? But he did the big backflip off the top rope where he's going to land on the guy. The guy moves, he lands on his feet and rolls through, but he sells his leg. But he sold it for the rest of the match. Even when he was doing it, when he was running to the ropes to jump out, he was kind of limping and favoring it. So he's got the idea in his head. And I get Grayson Waller and Creed. I keep calling Consequences Creed is what he was.
Xavier Woods.
Xavier Woods. They were with Kofi, so they had a rapper, I guess, from Atlanta with Javon in his corner, and the rapper threw Waller over the desk when the heels tried to fuck Javon, and then Javon hit a cutter off the top. Remember, I said Javon shouldn't do the cutter. He should do something else because Cody did the cutter. I think Cody ought to quit doing the cutter. The fucking guy went 20 feet in the air. And it actually didn't look, because it wasn't perfect. When he landed, he didn't drag the guy right down face first. He was going by him, grabbed him by the head, and yanked him down sideways. I think that looks more legitimate. It looks more like that he's just snatching this guy as he's flying through the air than this. They're leaning into Cody's, and here, boss, take me. But nevertheless, Javon Evans, that boy Bouncy, 1, 2, 3. Does Javon Evans have a fan club? Can I join for $4 and get a monthly bulletin, a membership card, and an autographed 8x10?
You know, he's become one of my favorites too. And I'm watching him against Kofi. I don't usually watch Kofi matches because I hate the New Day. But Javon Evans is so good, and he's smooth. And like you said, sold the knee when he did the flip was high up in the air. I mean, it was like so impressive for a flip that was just a flip. And then he went right to selling his knee, and he never stopped. Even as he was doing stuff, he would grimace a little bit or grab his knee. Yeah. And that's what you're supposed to do. He's super impressive, and he's fun to watch. So, yeah, big fan of his. Put him over Brock. I'm afraid that it might backfire at this point. People might go, oh, all right, now, wait a minute. But anyway, that's the point, is that's the kind of guy that you can get behind because he's got the energy and the passion and the emotion. And it's not all preposterous. And that's why I say I would have everybody else on the roster gear back on flying shit, because that's his lane, as the kids say. That's his thing. And leave it to him, and you've got a fucking megastar. And if you can make it legitimate that he can knock out one of these giants, if he's coming from 18 feet in the air with both of his fucking feet. Just a thought. Anyway, you know what was next? Like Mussolini on Peachtree Street. Standing in the ring forever. He's the cult of his entrance was in the break. Now with more spots. And then a video. Okay, it was a video promo from someone else. Yeah. A Punk entrance. It's got to be a 3.5-minute break. Then they come back with a sit-down pre-taped canned promo of Finn Balor talking about Punk that goes a while. Then they come back to ringside, and Cole plugs the celebrities at ringside. And I dare anybody to have heard of any of these fucking people.
And I looked at the time. It had been over 5 minutes since Punk came out, and he's still standing in the middle of the ring. Way to not only break the enthusiasm for a star's entrance, but also to deflate your fucking promo. Because I can't imagine how ticked off I would have been, uncomfortable, if they had ever said, Jim, go out and cut this 10-minute live promo about all the main event world title angle. You're going to go out with your music and you're going to get the microphone and you're going to stand in the ring for 5 minutes without saying anything and let the people stare at you. And then we'll give you the cue. What the fuck? You don't do that with your, not only with your best talker, but with any main event talent. You've killed the momentum. And the TV producers may think, oh, if the people see Punk on the way to the ring, then they won't change the channel. Well, fuck you.
Yeah, it's Netflix.
Sorry. Yeah, well, yeah, they'd have to change the whole goddamn network. They'd have to actually get off of net. It's not like, oh, let's see what's on Sci-Fi.
Right.
You have to get off goddamn Netflix. But anyway, so having said that, it was a good promo, a great promo for anybody else, a good promo for Punk, who again had nothing to say, and you could tell really had to make up his own. Because he tied Finn Balor and Roman Reigns in with the motif of he doesn't like what ifs. Well, what if this got it? What if that got it? Blah, blah, blah. But that was, he was just trying to sell these matches, which he did. Finished with a mic toss. He's the best in the world. His name's CM Punk. But there's no, the best thing is Roman Reigns going to be there next Monday in Indianapolis, and he might just punch him in his stupid fucking face. But there was no captivating new ground broken here besides selling what was already going on. And there's a place for that. But on this show, it's starting to get a little dreary. You tell me.
I mean, it was fine for what it was, and what it was not much. CM Punk didn't do anything wrong, but they didn't book him to do anything. We just saw Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman come out there and announce nothing. So here's Punk doing a promo about Balor, and then it almost has to be like, now let me shift gears to the feud that you guys care about, me and Roman.
But at least, unlike the promo with Brock, he knew who he was actually going to wrestle.
Yeah, like I said, it was fine. It was a kind of a standard, the babyface will be here and he'll have something to say this week. With no angle or anything, it was fine. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It wasn't, can't say like it was awful or it was a waste. It was, you had Punk there. He got the Gunther treatment. Come out there, do a promo, get the hell out of here.
If there was a good show around the Gunther and Punk promos, but the only notable thing about this show so far has been Bronson Reed got hurt. And then we had a women's three-way, and yeah. And then, actually, another good thing about the show, the amazing AJ Styles video that they edited. And now they're working with TNA. They got access to the TNA footage. Brilliant editing. I love their studio's production work like that. That, to me, was just fabulosity. Did you have any comments on his fine music video?
It was really well done.
You've always been a big Creed fan. You've got an autographed Creed poster in your office.
I've never been a Creed fan. I used to make fun of the Creed fans years ago, and they would argue with me about my music, but I was right and they were wrong. But this video was good. It almost made me like Creed. It almost made me like Creed.
Not quite.
Not quite. What'd you think? I mean, all night, they were showing various guests in the back who all coincidentally work as producers there or whatever it is. But,
yeah,
you know, Petey Williams and Bobby Roode, they had Abyss, Chris Parks as Abyss. I was actually looking forward to like...
I saw Jeremy Borash also. Jeremy Borash has got to be younger than me. He had such a wonderful head of hair where he looks like now like a big toe. What happened?
The wrestling business. That's what happened. Planet Jarrett. That's what happened. But my point is, they show all these people in the back for 30 seconds. They say who they are. They identify them. I think they even had graphics. I was expecting some kind of big thing at the end where, and here are AJ's, longtime enemies and friends and opponents.
That's where Ralph Edwards brings out the people in AJ's life.
When they did it for Ric Flair for his retirement, and again, that was a long time ago at this point. It was Ric Flair's one of his retirements. They had all these guys. Here's Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Here's Greg the Hammer Valentine. And they all came out. They all got a pop. And if you're a longtime wrestling fan, you kind of like that. You kind of like seeing the guys you haven't seen in a while come out and just walk to the ring. Just get in the ring and stand there. That's the way he used to look in the ring. Whatever it is, they never give you that. They never give you that. And
you know what they should have done? They should have said, "Hey, AJ, before you go, here's a figure from your past. Claire Lynch, everybody. Claire, come on now.
Come on now. That's a step too far. I was hoping, I had my fingers crossed, like, please have Dixie. Please let Dixie get booed out. Please let Dixie get booed out of the building in Atlanta. Please.
I bet you AJ's wife would have hopped the rail. And here's the thing. This, I think, was the best promo that AJ Styles has ever done. Because it was a nice, humble promo. He was being himself. And he was being genuine. And I've said before, AJ's physical talent was off the charts. He's never been the fucking guy, the promo. He's going to deliver. He'll give AJ 15 minutes. But because he was being real and being himself, it was perfect. And he remembered his TNA days in Japan, WrestleMania. He's done everything except be a full-time father. And there's the family in the front row. And all the world titles that he's won are not as important as having the best wife in the world. And he gives his wife a nice speech. And not many people get to go out the way that they came here, where they came in. But he did 10 years from Rumble 2016 to 2026. And he didn't leave his gloves in the ring there at the Rumble because he is a man of his word, but he wanted to bring them home to Atlanta and leave them at home. And then he takes off his jacket and his gloves and he puts them in the middle of the ring and tells the fans he loves them. That was fucking great. Again, that's one of the best promos, if you can call it that AJ's ever done, and they did that wonderfully. And then they do the false credits, and everybody, all the talent, the producers, you saw Triple H on down, everybody came out to the entranceway to applaud him. And then you hear the bong and the blackout, and there weren't a lot of lights for a while. Could they not get Taker on the motorcycle and get him through the goddamn door? What was happening there?
I think, the lights were out, so you couldn't really see. I think they were trying to drag Michelle McCool off the bike. It may have taken a little longer than they expected.
Well, here comes Undertaker, and instead of it being the Undertaker, it's the American Badass with the Kid Rock music. And boy, that gimmick has fallen. Taker speaks like a normal person now, and he comes out and puts his kindly old hand on AJ's shoulder, and they did legitimately apparently surprise AJ with this. He didn't know this was going to happen, and you could see he was kind of puzzled, like, I have no idea where this is going. But Taker announced that he's going into the 2026 WWE Hall of Fame. And that got a big pop, and the family came in and everything.
AJ, we figured out another way to prolong this and not get you to go to AEW. How would you like to go into the Hall of Fame? It was a very nice moment. It was a very, very nice moment.
It was, except just the Taker's lost all of his aura. But and also, can I say again, just please write this down. Somebody spray painted on a brick wall somewhere where people remember I said it. AJ Styles is not going to go wrestle in AEW. He's not.
There are still people who think that, and you have to wonder if WWE thinks it. That's why they're doing everything they're giving him a send-off that they have given very few wrestlers ever. So unless this is just a sign of the way things are going to go in the future, I mean, is every one of these guys going to get a send-off like this?
Well, think about this. And no, but he's not every one of those guys. He has been there for quite some time and performed at a high level as special, blah, blah, blah. But also, yes, they are. Think about the level of programming that they have to produce now. And the more times that they can get legends and or almost retired people to come out and talk about it, the more time they're filling up. And then again, at this level, with these prices of everything and the rights fees they get for programming and content, AJ Styles Hall of Fame merchandise may gross enough over the course of the weekend to justify AJ Styles' fucking pay on whatever deal they're still going to have him on to sell all this shit. See, that's the thing, is it's not like they're just being turned away now. At that level, they're still, that's why Jericho, as I've said many times, and I'll say again, they could pay Jericho $5 million to come back for a year for 3 pay-per-view matches, some TV appearances to shoot an angle and talk about it. And we'll put you in the Hall of Fame and we'll do a merchandise deal and still make money on it. It's just not even a goddamn issue at this point. He just can't make any money in the company he works for or has been working for now. Well, he can make it, he can't draw it. But that's with their level of business the WWE's doing now, they can pay millions of dollars for guys for limited appearances just because, depending on who they are.
Or they should do the Brock thing with everyone. Just put up here's the schedule. These are the dates I'll be appearing at over the next 6 months if you want to see me. I guess Cena.
Who am I going to be wrestling? I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
Somebody step up. It doesn't matter.
Like I said,
it doesn't matter who you want to wrestle.
A very nice job they did on the tribute and the retirement ceremony for AJ. I just wish they would have actually introduced his former opponents and tag team partners and everything. It would have been cool. Even the current guys like Nakamura and Dragon Lee. It would have been a cool thing, but
they should have had Bill Behrens there.
Bill Behrens, wouldn't that have been something?
He was AJ's first champion. And he can fill in 15 minutes. He can. But he was championing the cause of AJ Styles from the very beginning. And I guarantee you Bill Behrens can fill up 15 minutes of airtime.
And now, AJ, another guest from your past. This man had you pulled from him by TNA. Say hello to Gabe Sapolsky. Yeah, it could have been a lot of fun if they really had gone all the way with it. But that was WWE Raw, another action-packed Raw. We'll see who gets hurt next week. Jim, AJ Styles will now be retired. A lot more time to focus on his nutrition. A lot more time to focus on exercise. Amazing seeing the shape of him. A lot more time to focus on eating the right thing. And of course, you and I both enjoy our Factor meals. And we have great deals for Factor meals to tell everyone about. Why don't we talk about our great friends at Factor?
Well, these are literally meals on wheels because they put them in a truck and they deliver them to you. And unless that truck is actually a hovercraft, the meal has been on a wheel. Folks, if you're like AJ Styles and you're jetting off here and there in this busy world that you live in where you're flying on a plane and you're checking into a hotel and you're whatever, you don't have time to cook big meals at home, but you still got to eat smart. Factor can help you out because Factor are quality, functional ingredients with lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole food ingredients, and healthy fats with no refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners, and no refined seed oils. Because that's the problem is, used to have a lot of linseed oil in the food that I ate. And they told me that I was taking a shellacking because of it. But these are meals that fit your goals and schedule for healthier eating, calorie management, and more protein. And folks, right now, if you go to factormeals.com, you will find the incredible array. It's like going to the, what did they call that? Not the laundromat, the automat. Like the old automat in New York City. Except you're going to a website and with 100 rotating weekly meals to keep things fresh and delicious all year round. You can just, you just punch the fucking button and you can't lift the window and just eat it right there. They have to put it in a box and send it to you first, but you'll get it eventually. And the options include the high protein, calorie smart, Mediterranean diet, GLP-1 support. See, that's not all one. I actually ordered that thinking I'm going to get a wing ding of a meal. They didn't know what to fucking do. Those are all different meals.
They are different meals and they know what to do.
Well, they didn't know what to do when I wanted it all in the same. They just sent me a bucket and said, here, just tie it around your neck.
They don't send out buckets, but back to what you're saying, that's factual.
Yes, the new Muscle Pro collection supports strength and recovery. You sit down and you eat this, and what they do is they send you a 10-pound fork. And therefore, every time you eat one of these dinners, you've done like 30, 40 curls. Just remember to switch hands or elsewise it'll look like you jack off all the time.
They will be sending you your meals. There are no extra size forks or any other utensils. Let's make sure we don't specify or give examples of things that will not be sent.
Well, does that mean you can't still jack off if you want to?
Back to the meals, Jim.
Okay. They're always fresh, never frozen. So eat them quick. Don't sit around for 3 or 4 weeks or it's not our fault. And they're ready in about 2 minutes with no prep and no stress. And again, Brian, you're an aficionado of the salmon. Of course, there's always something fishy about your food choices, but I like the filet and creamy Parmesan shrimp. Then I could just take the filet on the end of the fork and just waller it around in the creamy Parmesan sauce that went on the shrimp and just dip and just eat it. And boy, that's good. And right now, you can go to factormeals.com/JCE50off and use the code JCE50off to get 50% off. See what they did there? And free breakfast for a year. So once again, JCE50 off the code at factormeals.com for new subscribers only. Now, come on, don't be a glutton. Let somebody else have some of the glory. 1 free breakfast item per box for 1 year while your subscription is active. But again, 50% off your first box and free breakfast for a year. Boy, howdy. And I'll tell you what, I think if you go on a diet where you only eat the calorie smart factor meals, then you will definitely lose weight. I did not because I liked them so much. I started eating 2 of them at a time. And that wasn't smart for the calories.
We're not making any promises or guarantees, but we're talking about food that we enjoy, food that we look forward to arriving here. The teriyaki salmon is a favorite.
I swear to God, I'm smelling food right now. Well, I am smelling food. Like, at least it's not burnt toast, but boy, it's making me hungry.
All right, well, now you're getting me hungry. Just mentioning hunger makes me hungry. Jim, we have a great deal for the listeners. Why don't we get to that so we can take a break and eat some food?
Well, I'm so hungry for this meal. Factormeals.com/JCE50 off to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year and smell food 24 hours a day. It'll drive you to the brink of insanity.
You'll be sane and satisfied in terms of your stomach. Factor! All right, Jim, you know what that means? We're almost at the end, but there's still plenty of time for more action and adventure here on the program.
When are we going to have the adventure?
Well, we'll talk with our travel agent. We were going to take a nice trip and do a live remote from Mexico, but we've decided to rule that out at the present time.
For the time being, yes. Another time, perhaps.
Well, Jim, a follow-up. I know we've been saying for a few weeks now we're going to do retro figures, and we're going to do them momentarily, but a follow-up on PowerTown that has come into our offices here. Of course,
well, wait. Now, are you gonna play the jingle? Won't you tell us about PowerTown? Won't you tell us about PowerTown? Dun 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 dun.
With jingles like that, I'm not exactly sure why the business didn't work out. But Jim, back to PowerTown. We've been talking about their trials and tribulations and everything, and just recently, the fact that emails were bouncing back. People still don't have figures. Magnum TA threatened to beat up fans, or just stop helping fans. Greg Gagne signed up all these families. No one's received any money or figures. A lot of things happening. Where's Steve Rosenthal? Has been one of the questions.
Yeah, he was the big toy guy, the big expert from the 80s that was behind the driving force behind getting this whole thing started. What's he got to say for himself?
Well, apparently Steve Rosenthal posted in a Facebook group in a thread about PowerTown, and any thread about PowerTown means people complaining about PowerTown, responding to someone named Craig with 4 emoji eye rolls. Craig, PowerTown has not, in caps, and is not, also in caps, going out of business. We understand the implications assumed by our lack of updates. With the decision rendered today, RE tariffs, and with Chinese New Year ending,
Oh no!
PowerTown will soon be providing updates regarding Remco's, TNA, and Ultras 2, and then all in caps now, all orders will be fulfilled. Any thoughts on this?
Well, he's pulling out all the greatest hits because, first of all, they had said, well, with these tariffs, the tariffs. Okay, they took in thousands and thousands of dollars from people. So unless they were stupid business people and going to sell the figures for basically the same thing as they were paying for them, they had a markup. They had a profit margin. A 20% tariff comes in. You can do something about it quicker than a year or 2 years. Like, okay, let's just go ahead and not make the 20% we were going to make, but at least give these people their shit.
Yeah, by the way, they didn't know the Supreme Court was going to rule on this.
Well, hold on.
What if that hadn't happened?
This predates the idea that tariffs were even going to be a thing. They were starting this deal in 2021, and then tariffs just became a thing when pig shit became president again, started going off. So, but then also the Chinese New Year. I heard that from Figures Toy Company one time, that we were trying to get everything that in the way of the figures that we were working on done and on the boat before the Chinese New Year. I said, why? They said, they shut down like 2 or 3 weeks and nothing would happen. Well, okay. They'd be working on last year's Chinese New Year if the Chinese New Year was a fucking cause of all these delays. It's just everything. If they were experienced in any part of this, as Steve Rosenthal was or supposed to be, they would have known that many of these things might take place. But it would have been easier than or quicker than 2 years or 3 years or whatever to settle these things.
We understand the implications assumed by our lack of updates. Okay, give an update. Like, what the fuck does that mean? We understand that our silence makes people think we're guilty. It's a bizarre way for Steve Rosenthal to pop off out of nowhere.
But then out of nowhere, when nobody's heard anything from him, and then after that statement, then he's gone again, right?
Then he's just, not responding to people or blocking people or whatever happens. However, after this sign of hope for people who have money tied up with PowerTown, where he's saying, now that the Chinese New Year has ended, and now the tariffs have been rendered in some form to be illegal, We will
And he doesn't drive this car often anyway either.
Yeah, and by the way, we're not talking about we will now get them on the boat. We will now get them made. That's what he's saying here. Well, again, a sign of hope. Someone from PowerTown at this late date in early 2026 guaranteeing that orders will be fulfilled. A day later, this was sent to me. There's an artist named Hal Haney, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. He apparently has done a lot of wrestling art and apparently did art for PowerTown. Here's a series of messages from Instagram. Here's the deal. PowerTown owes me $8,000. They haven't paid me in over a year. I'm done being respectful about it. Only thing I'll say is I love, in caps, Magnum TA. That guy is a real one. Anybody else can eat the whole goddamn skin chimney. That's the first message. Let me get the next one here. So whatever you do, this ain't on Magnum. Terry Allen is a good fucking dude, and he wants to do right by the fans. Anybody else can eat the entire semen sandwich. I'm sensing a theme here. And I hope you all get your money or your figures.
I am sensing a pattern.
And I hope you all get your money or your figures. But PowerTown is about to learn that fucking over an artist with 75,000 social media followers. Let me go to the next one here. Oh, that was the end of that sentence. There was a period there, and it just ended like that. Steve Rosenthal did not respond to me when I literally begged, in caps, begged him to pay me what was owed so I could pay for my wife's cataract surgery and my daughter's braces.
Oh, no.
So he could suck the hair off my dick. Thanks a lot, Steve, you compassionate bitch. And then he apparently posted a image of his final text exchange with Steve, which is basically him asking for some of the money. And the last time he heard back from Steve Rosenthal was 2024.
Jesus Christ.
So that's their artist.
Again, you can't come up with $8,000 to pay this guy whose wife has to have surgery when you're allegedly the head honcho or one of them of this big figure enterprise going to take over the world.
Yeah, Greg Anya said they were going to be in Target and Walmart, I believe.
Well, they are a Target, and they might be hiding at Walmart, but and that's the thing is, I told Greg, boy, he wasn't going to break kayfabe on this. One of the things I said to him, I said, Greg, you could understand we're not, Stan Lane, Bobby Eaton, Dennis Condrey, myself are not interested in this offer because the arrangement that we have and what we can do on our own, we can make more money individually for ourselves than you could make us with this deal. You can at least acknowledge that. Oh, no. What? No, we're going to be in stores. We're going to be at Walmart and everything. I said, no. Okay. But I don't know that the average member of the population is going to wake up one morning and say, I think I'll go to Walmart and get my Dennis Condrey figure. Whereas we have the platform here also to sell our thing and do our thing. So that's what we are going to do is our thing. And you do the other thing.
Yeah, we pay
and he's
artists.
Doing another thing.
We pay our artists. But yeah, that's the PowerTown update. So the head of the company, who's been radio silent, says everyone will get what you paid for. And then the artist who did the artwork on the packaging for what we're supposed to get says he hasn't been paid.
Which goes along with Jordan Grace saying she didn't get shit, which goes along with Ricky Morton's son saying they didn't get shit. But which goes along with the guy breaking his silence, coming out and saying, you're going to get everything. And I understand why that my silence may have been off-putting, and then goes silent again.
Well, we will stay on top of this story until the arrests are made. But Jim, why don't we talk about some retro wrestling figures here today? They've been building up on my desk. My favorite one right here. We got to start with this. From Latuni, it's the Antonio Inoki LJN style rubber figure, and this thing is gorgeous. They've got the right chin, the pelican jaw. It's got the classic 70s hairdo and sideburns. A removable red towel.
I was about to ask about the towel.
Black trunks, black boots. And if you move its, you can move its arms, unlike the regular LJNs. And if you press a button here, it blames Shinma. No, this is actually a very, very nice figure. Finally, an Antonio Inoki LJN style. Unfortunately, I believe Latuni is sold out of these.
Well, then now you're just milking us.
AJ, if you get any more in stock, let us know, and maybe we could do something for the listeners. But yeah, these are, I didn't expect them to sell out, but apparently Antonio Inoki figures have become quite popular in the last year.
Well, and now you've held something over our head that we're not going to be able to have. But does it have a special function where it will play the theme music? So, or are we going to have to hear that now, or is that still just a feature of the keychain?
It's still just a feature of the keychain, which is buried on the other side of the desk right now, behind baseball cards, so I can't get to it.
Good, and hopefully under a foot of snow.
All right, Jim. Well, that's insulting. But again, this is from Latuni, part of their Wrestling Giant series. They got a whole bunch of Randy Savages and a whole bunch of other stuff. Check that out.
Proof that many other companies can get these figures to the fans that buy them, because they're sold out sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, they're all kind of made in the same place, and they're all getting on the same boats, and they're all somehow getting here. It's kind of amazing. Jim, from Figure Collections, part of their Power Packed Wrestlers, series. Andre the Giant in the 3 3/4 inch style of the classic Star Wars figure. This one, though, is the very first Andre the Giant in his green and red 1992 Mexican gear.
No!
You always see maybe the 70s Andre, or usually it's the black singlet, or maybe when it turned blue. You never see green and red, almost a Christmas variant, but he actually wore this. I don't know if you've seen the photos before.
Yes, oh yeah, the unexplored era of Andre when he went to Mexico because Vince wouldn't book him because he was afraid he wouldn't be able to get in the ring.
I think he was working with Yokozuna when he was still Coquina down there, wasn't he?
I think, yes, they crossed paths briefly. The tallest wrestler and the widest wrestler.
Well, here it is. As an Andre the Giant collector, this is a really cool one because no one has made one of these before. So once again, Figure Collections, the Power Packed Wrestlers, green variant Andre the Giant. Jim, I don't know what I'm going to say about the next one, so please don't make any comments. Just bear with me for a moment.
Okay.
There's a line of toys I really like, the Ring Rat figures. And it's not what it sounds like, and that's why I asked you to stay out of this, because I knew you would cause trouble. But the Ring Rat figures are...
I've known a few Ring Rats that had figures that were remarkable.
Well, these are a different set of figures here. But I don't know if I should plug them, but they're really, really cool. And if you're the guy who makes them, let me know if you want me to publicly say you're making these on the biggest wrestling podcast in history. Just want to make sure before I do it, because...
You think this is some under the table kind of stuff that old the floozy from Denver didn't want her figure made?
Well, I think...
Was this is kind of a reverse plaster caster business where one of the boys in the 80s was plaster casting the rats so that we could make action figures out of them?
There was a request for you to stay out of this
instead of the G.I. Joe Kung Fu grip.
Yep.
Instead of the Kung Fu grip, is there a neck that bobbles up and with a up and down, up and down, up and down?
Again, not those sorts of ring rats, but if you're the man behind the Wrestling Tycoon ring rats, let me know how much attention you want.
If you're the guy behind the rats, let me know. We got some business for you, and we might even tell others.
Well, Jim, moving on here. KWK, the Kayfabe Heroes toy line. We mentioned these were coming up. I finally got them in hand. Well done. There are 3 variants, black and purple, pink and black, and blue with yellow and pink. for all those diehard well done fans, every variant you could
I remember the blue and yellow and pink. They wore that many times when they worked in Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Well
Timothy
done.
Well and Stephen Dunn. They were well done.
Did they get a fair shake? Were they better than they had a chance to show?
I think they were really only medium rare. They didn't get cooked all the way. I think both of them were. It was a problem of the territories going away. Both of them were talented enough to be high on the card in a variety of the territories, but they were not going to go to the top in the WWF at the time or WCW. Right? But they were a good middle card tag team of heels that knew how to work and how to get baby faces shit across.
Well, again, here they are, and you could remove their heads if you want to get the bow ties on or off.
Well, and that may have helped their careers in Rex King's case, at least. But
no, because they have bow ties. So if you want to remove the bow tie, you have to take the head off. And
okay. I thought you meant, man, maybe just transplant somebody else's head on. And
was Rex King's not the brains of the group?
He was not the brains of the organization.
All right, Jim. Well, our next figure here from Figure Collections Wrestle Something Wrestlers, Kona Bryan Adams. So it's Bryan Adams in his classic Crush gear, but they don't call him Crush, so it's enough to avoid any potential lawsuits.
Because at one point he was Kona Crush when he was no longer a demolitionist, but instead was a guy that hung out in Hawaii waiting for fucking weed deals.
The last time we saw him on TV as kids, he was the third member of Demolition, all painted up, and eventually they got rid of Axe, and it was just him and Smash. The next time we see him, he's like on a beach like, Shaka Bra, I'm from Kona. What? Where did this come from? You were all into metal and leather the other time I saw you. But Kona Crush, any thoughts on Bryan Adams, and specifically
what
finish?
Was it that he got in trouble for? But go ahead.
Well, what are your thoughts on the finishing maneuver of the Crush where you just squeeze the guy's head from both sides?
To be honest, I thought it was genius for like Plowboy Frazier because it was a way for him to do something without actually doing anything. But Bryan Adams could do, for his size, a few different things. So that's probably one of the last finishes I would have given him. Even if he was strong, it was also boring. But I'm trying to remember now, what was it, drugs or guns that the authorities claimed that he had too many of?
Was it both?
Well, that's why I'm asking you, because you're the quick on the Google drawer.
Hold on, let me Google.
But it was right about that time that he was living in Hawaii for real, and I guess they were trying to give him a realistic gimmick, and Kona Crush came up, but then I think, isn't that what derailed Kona Crush, was getting arrested?
Well, I don't know. He turned heel. Let's see. He turned heel in late 93 against Randy Savage. That's what I remember. That's when he wrestled at WrestleMania.
That's right. And at WrestleMania, he hung him from the ceiling or whatever the fuck was going on there.
After a brief stint in jail, Adams was brought back in July 96. When did he go to jail and what for?
Because when he came back in 96, he morphed into a member of the DOA with the Harris Boys and Brian Lee.
On March 13th, 1995, Adams was arrested at his home in Kona, Hawaii, after narcotics officers searched his home and discovered 500 units of anabolic steroids without prescriptions and several unregistered automatic firearms. He was released on bail. He was sentenced to 5 years probation and pleaded no contest to 11 counts of drugs and weapon charges. Well, there you go.
Yeah, that kind of made Kona Crush not persona non grata for a little while around there.
All right, Jim, a couple more here. From Hastel Toys, the Grapplers and Gimmicks line, the first ever Hasbro-style Salvatore Sincere, Tom Brandy. Let's talk a little bit about him. What are your thoughts on the Salvatore Sincere gimmick? And, Tom Brandy was a fan first because in the Wrestling Exchange, which I own the rights to, the great magazine by Gary Mancuso and Gary Kamensak, he contributed a photo, like the fan photo of the month was Tom Brandi. So he was a fan. He got into the business. Let's talk about him. Let's talk about the gimmick.
I like Tom Brandi, and he was a big kid, good-looking guy. I mean, 6'3" or whatever, and 230, and a good-looking Italian fellow. The dark hair. Dennis Coralluzzo used to love to use him on shows up there. He's from, he was from the New Jersey, New York area, and probably
Pennsylvania, I think.
Pennsylvania, yeah, same thing. Just a little bit to the other direction. But he was the only guy that prospered when Vince went on that binge of giving everybody that we brought in for that little deal horrible gimmicks, because that they were complaining, Vince was, especially, our roster is thin, we need more matchups for television. So, well, yes, you need to sign some more main event superstars, but we could just bring in some guys that can work to put our regular guys over on TV instead of using the job guys that are dish rags, and just have a little upgrade. And out of all of them, whether it's Tracy Smothers, Tony Anthony, Bill Irwin, fucking a variety of guys, Tom Brandi benefited from that because Sal Sincere was a better gimmick than just poor old Tom Brandi. And of course, it was over the top and silly like they all were at that point in time, but at least Tom took it and ran with it. He wasn't embarrassed or ashamed of it like the rest of the guys were. He liked the big it was, as I remember, pink and red jacket and a big hat, and he's Italian, and he talks like that. And he worked his ass off in his matches. He worked hard and tried to do the best he could with it. And so at least he got some element of a run there with a gimmick that he could use in other places, where the rest of those guys, they hated going out there and doing that shit. And once their run was up, they never wanted to do those gimmicks again. So he was the best one out of the bunch.
And then what is the real story? Did he buy the Patriots gimmick, or he bought the rights to it, or did he not buy it at all and just told people? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like,
good Lord. I remember, I can't, to be honest, I can't remember the details, but I don't understand how he could have ever bought the Patriot gimmick, because who would you buy that from? Jerry Lawler?
Right, and it was when Del Wilkes was alive too. It wasn't
but that's what I'm saying. But Del Wilkes was the Patriot that everybody thinks of. But Jerry Lawler did a comic strip about a masked patriotic wrestler called the Patriot in 1972 for Wrestling Monthly.
That's right.
I'm just how do you trademark something or buy the rights to something that apparently had not been trademarked? I don't know.
Actually, I own the trademark and the rights to that magazine.
No, but I mean, we to the magazine, and hence, but to still, that might be a legal battle over the comic strip.
Yeah.
With at least, do you own the character, or do you just own what appeared in the magazine that you own? Whereas the originator, the artist, owns the character. Blah blah blah.
They have all the
was it a
original
work
files
for hire, or because Lawler was wrestling by then? He was just doing that shit for fun for the magazine.
But again, I don't know if there's a line between that Patriot and the other Patriot, although Del Wilkes became the Patriot. Was that named after the Lawler strip? Because that's when Eddie Gilbert was in Global, right?
Yeah. Eddie would have easily stolen something of Lawler's.
Absolutely.
But then Del took it everywhere else and established it.
The first time I saw him is when he went to WCW as Johnny Gunn in 1992, late 92. And I guess the story is that Bill Watts just took his photo to all the female secretaries in the office. Like, do you think this guy's handsome? Do you like this guy? And then hired him. And he was like the guy, I didn't know they were called mullets yet, but I knew everyone had them. But he was the guy I realized, the mullet's over. Like, when I saw him there with the mullet teaming up with Tom Zink, I was like, I knew it was over. But then he didn't really get a break between there and WWF. It's kind of crazy that a guy with that look and that size wasn't signed by anyone.
And could talk with an authoritative voice. And remember when he was the Trooper, because Del started, since he was from South Carolina, he actually got broken in originally by Moolah. And he was, they call him the State Trooper or just the Trooper. I might be thinking of Dale Veazey and fucking Buddy Lee Parker with the state.
He was the Trooper.
They were the State Patrol. Dale was the Trooper.
He was the Trooper in the AWA as the AWA was dying. Yeah. And then he became the Patriot.
But it wasn't his fault. He was trying to find the murderer.
All right, well, I think, confused the conversation of Del Wilkes and Tom Brandy. Somehow combined their two histories together there. But there it is, Salvatore Sincere. One last thing here, Jim. Where is this? There it is. From Recollect Retro Creations, that's W-R-E Collect, Recollect Wrestling Creations, an Adrian Adonis Flower Shop playset.
Okay, first of all, that's brilliant. That's actually genius. And second of all, can y'all make your name any harder?
It is it looks just like the set from the classic 1986 Superstars of Wrestling, and you can use your vintage and retro figures to recreate classic moments from Adrian Adonis's talk show. From Recollect Retro Creations, this is so fucking cool. And there it is.
Adrian Adonis, I just have to say, Adrian Adonis, one of the better in-ring workers physically at one point in the wrestling business, and it ended up 400 pounds doing a segment called The Flower Shop and looking like fucking Betty Davis in the closing scenes of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, and made more money doing that.
There was something like very disturbing about him. It wasn't even just like, hey, they gave him a gimmick as being like this flamboyant gay character out of nowhere. There was something about him, like him having that gimmick and him before that gimmick. And just, there was like a nastiness or some kind of weird vibe you would get off him, unlike any other wrestler.
And I think because he probably was so disgusted with what he was being made to do that he just went all the way with it and became as disgusting as possible.
You know, a few months back, WWE and Mattel put out a Piper's Pit play set, and it came with a Piper and an Orndorff and a Bob Orton, and the Bob Orton had an optional pink hat from when he was all of a sudden Adrian Adonis's bodyguard on the Flower Shop against Piper's Pit. But there it is, retro figures, and of course, if you want some Jim Cornette figures, they're available right now at Cornette's Collectibles at jimcornette.com.
And Midnight Express figures, while they last, are available as well, and at the lowest prices they've ever been offered. We've extended our holiday sale for the first part of 2026.
Well, Jim, we talked about retro figures, we talked about PowerTown, but some people need some help with power. Some people need more power. They need power on the go. And our good friends at Ridge, who've already conquered the minimalist wallet that we all love, have now come up with a new product to power our lives.
That's right, the Ridge Power Bank. It is not just a power bank, it's a magnetic power bank. To where folks, again, I'm a simple guy. I'm just a small town bird lawyer. I use a pen and a piece of paper, a phone that's plugged into the wall. You know me. But a lot of people in today's hurry-scurry world, the hustle and bustle, they got to plug everything in. You need to charge your phone. You need to charge your headphones. You need to charge your watch. You need to charge your Kindle. You need to charge your pacemaker. You need to charge your vibrator. No matter what you need to charge, they've all got different cords. Everything's just all fucked up. And you can't plug two things into the same cord anyway because you can't roller skate in a buffalo herd either. But all the days of trying to find your cords and unknot them and untie them or buy new ones on the road, that's all over with thanks to Ridge, because the 5-in-1 travel power bank has the built-in cables. You can charge all your devices at the same time. We're talking MagSafe wireless charging, Apple Watch charger, Lightning, USB-C, every way you need it, all in the same place. 20 watts of power. It's a little bank. It's a little box-like bank or a bank-like box It's a structure that fits easily in your pocket, especially if you have a big ass and wear big baggy pants, or your purse, and you just plug everything into this after you've charged it up, and boom, charges your phone as fast as it possibly can be charged. It's got 10,000 milliamp hours of capacity. So let's say you want to take your Aunt Gertrude's reading light. It's got a frilly shade on it, and it's sort of painted in a kind of a Chinese dragon fashion on the porcelain base. And you've got that on the plane with you, and it's in the seat next to you, but you got to plug it in to turn it on so you can read your Aunt Fanny's murder mystery novel. You plug it into the power bank. Brian, you've been there here many times. You just got to read Aunt Fanny's murder mystery novel.
No.
You plug it in the power bank, you turn the light on, and then you've lit up the whole airplane. And you know what I figured? I said, I wonder what would happen if you took all of these cords and plugged them into the power bank itself. So in actuality, you're creating a power loop that will continue revolving. And Brian, I opened a hole in the space-time continuum. And unicorns came out in my backyard.
Okay, listen, this is nothing anyone has to worry about. Certainly nothing that happened to you. But ladies and gentlemen,
except for the unicorn, he was horny.
I guess he was unihorn.
Well, I've been over to pick up the MagSafe fucking wireless charger bank, and he speared me right in the ass.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
And folks, you can also stick your phone to this thing, and it sticks to it magnetically.
That's right.
So that way it just charges without even being plugged in, and that way you won't lose your phone because it's connected to another goddamn. And then if you take the power bank and you attach that to like an end table, then you won't lose your phone or your power bank because it'll be connected to an end table.
Or your end table.
So let's say you set the end table down and you wander off and you forget where that is. Tie a rope around the leg of the end table and put it into the Ridge wallet that you've previously bought. Put that in your pocket. Then you're dragging the table with the power bank, with the phone behind you. It's foolproof.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, MagSafe compatible, the Ridge magnetic power bank, compact. I think that's one of the words we want. It sounds very big and grandiose when you hear Jim Cornette lay it out there. But
it's very compact and small and insignificant.
Well, no, I wouldn't say insignificant. There's full. This is full of significance, significance, whatever the hell that means.
There's a lot of power in it's a big thing that comes in a little package. There's a lot of power. It's TNT, it's dynamite. It comes in small packages, but it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
But it's a great deal for the listeners that we have, is what I understand.
That's
Jim.
right. You can plug everything you've got in there and they'll all run. And just plug your house into this thing and see how far you get. One thing to pack, 5 ways to power. You can find Ridge's power bank at Best Buy if you want to associate with people out in the world, or you can save money by getting 10% off at ridge.com, RIDGE.com, and use the promo code JCE at checkout, 10% off, and you're all set. Tell them that you heard about it here, and then plug all your stuff in there. You'll be watching a TV. You'll be talking on a phone. You'll be reading a Kindle. You've got a vibrating butt plug right up your sphincter, and it's all thanks to the Ridge Power Bank.
All right. Well, there it is. Ridge. We love him here in this house. Someone's running something. Thank you.
It's plugged into a Ridge.
All right. Well, Ridge, again, great wallets and great power bank here. The Ridge, where did I put it? I just had it.
If only the wallet needed power, then you could plug the wallet into the fucking power bank, and then the wallet would have extraordinary powers far beyond the common ordinary household man.
One more time, Jim, that promo code for the Ridge Magnetic Power Bank.
Ridge.com/JCE.
All right. Jim, let's get a few questions and a few topics and get the hell out of here. I have a question here sent via the Cult of Cornette Facebook group by Kane Michael. I have some questions about MSG.
Wait a minute. Is there a comma after? It seems like that would be Michael Caine.
Well,
I enjoy his films.
This man's name is Kane Michael. I have some questions about MSG's 1996 Survivor Series pay-per-view that I believe Jim can answer.
Uh-oh.
Jim was the first and only person on commentary to call Sonny a slut. Obviously, this was okayed by Vince McPervert, but what was the process of it being done? So let's stop there. First question. You calling Sonny a slut on commentary. That's a big step for Vince McMahon.
Well, I might not have known that at the time because after we're on pay-per-view, I didn't clear it. I just said it. I thought I can't. Did I say it? I said it in such a way that I figured I could get away with it. I'm trying to remember because it's been 30 years. But one time I tried to back into it in Dallas in World Class when I was cutting a promo on Sunshine on the Fort Worth show, Saturday night, KTVT. I figured, well, we're after 10 o'clock on Saturday night. We're against Saturday Night Live. Maybe I can get by with this. And I said, Sunshine, I hate you so bad, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I wish, if I could just say the word slut on television. I figure, of course, they bleeped it. But I think the people figured it out anyway. But I thought I might get by with it. I think I probably did the same thing on the pay-per-view. Because I never went to. I mean, we didn't. In those days, you didn't really go and say like, "What's the allotment of cuss words or whatever on the show? Is anybody else saying fuck or can I say it?" I didn't tell Vince I was going to say fornicator. When I said fornicator, I just kind of every once in a while threw something in. Using the Jerry Lawler principle, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. And just, I wouldn't have done it on USA. We would have probably got heat and Vince would have yelled at me, but I don't remember anybody saying a goddamn word about it.
Whose idea was it for Sid to be the first guy in the WWF to use a camcorder as a weapon? Camcorder. It was a video camera, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, it was a TV camera back in those days when they were giant and bulky. Honestly, that may have been Bruce. That may have been a Bruce Pritchard. But the idea was that Sid was going to, at the appropriate time, snatch the video camera off the shoulder of one of the handheld camera guys and whack fucking dipshit in the head with it. And that's what he did.
What was Dwayne like on this night? Can Jim recall anything at all?
Well, this was this was Rocky Maivia's debut.
Yeah. On
pay-per-view. And he was thrilled. He was nervous. Had goddamn outfit, didn't do him any favors. They didn't make him have the haircut. He actually had that haircut beforehand. But
it went with the outfit.
Or the outfit may have gone with the haircut. One or the other. I'm not sure which came first, the chicken or the egg. But I had all the confidence in the world, as I've mentioned many times, in Dwayne Johnson. I thought he was a prodigy, and that's why I'd said the first time I saw him working out at the studio with Dr. Tom and Dory Funk, and I said, Vince, he's going to be your champion in 3 to 5 years from the way you present him, music, the booking, whatever. Just think that that's your goal because this guy's got it. When I saw the fucking outfit, I was like, oh my God, he may have had it, but this may make him lose it. And they had good intentions because Vince gave Rocky to Pat Patterson. Say, here, we want to get him over. But Pat, unfortunately, with a genius like him, I hate to criticize, but he didn't realize that they had gotten in their bubble where they just thought, okay, WWF is Vince's vision. There is silliness. It's family entertainment. It's it's, oh, look at the gobbledygooker. Pat could do serious wrestling. He worked for fucking Roy Shire on top, for God's sake. But Pat just they had all gotten complacent. And they thought, we'll just put him out there as this smiling baby face in this, I don't know how to describe the outfit with the tassels and everything. And he'll win a lot of matches and he'll get over. And they just did it too fast. I thought a little more true to life approach and a little slower would have been better, but they went whole hog with it. People started hating him, Rocky, and then they switched him heel, and then we were okay. But the first night he was thrilled, scared, nervous, happy to be there, all those emotions.
All right, thank you for your question. A note to people in the Cult of Cornette Facebook group, we put up a post. Some people were upset about it, but we're not allowing nicknames. If you're on Facebook and you're a member of the group and you want to post, but only under a nickname, so no one will know who you are.
Oh.
Unless you are somebody, we're not going to do that. So I'm sorry, no nicknames in the group.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
You got to be somebody before you can be somebody else.
And it turns out the majority of the people who try to start trouble and start fighting with other members, usually it's the people hiding behind a nickname. So no nicknames. Jim, our next question sent via the Cult of Cornette Facebook group by Josh Tustison.
Well, that sounds like a nickname.
He needs a nickname. Selling like Ricky Morton has always been a thing. And working with Bobby Eaton was like having a night off. Are there any great singles matches between the two? Those styles might have been great for tag team competition, but how would they mesh in singles competition against one another? Maybe I'm just too young to recall.
Well, no, tremendously. And it's those phrases have not always been a thing, because when Ricky Morton was actively in the 80s selling like Ricky Morton, it wasn't a phrase yet, because somebody else in a different part of the country may have said he was selling like Ricky Steamboat. Somebody else in a different part of the country, maybe he was selling like whoever. But as modern times has come along and people watch back on YouTube, Ricky Morton was the preeminent practitioner of the art. And you said with a lot of guys, that just used to be a compliment that the guys would legitimately give other guys. Oh, working with him is like a night off, right? Because nothing's going to happen to you. You're not going to get hurt. You're not going to get potatoed. It's the easiest thing you'll ever do. And then, of course, a lot of the guys started turning it around. Hey, working with you is like a night off. Oh, really? Yeah. Punches off, kicks off, house is off. But Bobby and Ricky became examples of a lot of the guys of the territory days that just had the ability to do these things. And yes, the answer to the question is they could have a tremendous singles match. And they'd had singles matches going back to the Tennessee territory in late 70s, early 80s. It's just that the way that they both ended up getting over as main event attractions was in tag teams. So the Midnight meshed perfectly with Ricky and Robert, because the Midnight were a heel team that meshed perfectly with each other. And Ricky and Robert were a babyface team that meshed with each other. And they all knew each other and had worked in a variety of combinations for so long, they all knew what to fucking do. But there was not, every once in a while we'd have a single match, maybe just to set up a tag match. That's why there weren't more singles matches between them. But out of the entire bunch, all of the members of both teams, Bobby versus Ricky would probably be the best singles match.
How is Robert Gibson as a singles wrestler?
Again, he was great when he had the opportunity, but Robert started in the business at 18, and that's when I first met him as partners with his brother Ricky, who was the established star at the time. And he went from that team to different tag team partners in the Tennessee and Alabama territories. He wrestled singles sometimes, but he was in teams a lot of the time, just with various baby faces. And then from 83 on, he and Ricky, he could have a very good singles match, but he just was never pushed as a singles wrestler. The Gibson brothers, to be honest, I think in 81 may have been one of the 2 or 3 best in-ring babyface tag teams in the whole business. And Ricky was that was Ricky Gibson's last phenomenal year. Ricky Gibson, work-wise, from 74, 75, 76, 77, I would have put up as a babyface against anybody in the business in any territory. He was amazing. And then all the bumps and the injuries and few substances and car wreck and various things, he was a shell of himself by the time he had to quit.
You know, physically, in a lot of ways, again, he had the car wreck. That changes things, but he was getting hurt a lot before that.
Yeah, and the backdrops that he took, that was the back problem. I've never seen anybody take a backdrop like Ricky Gibson did. If he could get somebody like David Schultz to boost him up, he would push off the guy's shoulder. As the guy stood straight up, he would go up in the air and then within a half a second flip and stand up completely upside down with his head pointed directly down and his feet straight up in the air, and then slowly turn the rest of the way. By the time he landed flat as a board. He'd go 10 feet in the air and 6 or 8 feet on the other side of the guy. And you do that every night 4 or 5 times, you're going to have a bad back.
But, you know, so many people for years pointed to Dynamite Kid like there's the casualty. There's what you want to prevent from happening. In a lot of ways, Ricky Gibson may be the precursor to a lot of the modern guys and the frequent injuries because of the style. Because he was, not that he was working the modern style then, but he was doing things a lot of other people didn't do with bumps.
He was the first guy I ever saw throw a drop kick off the top rope, what they now refer to as a missile drop kick. He would do a deal where when he was chasing the heel manager around the ring or through the ring or whatever, he would run through the ring, jump up to the top turnbuckle, and then just jump off, not even with a jump, but just step off the top turnbuckle and land on the floor and continue running after the fucking guy.
Whoa.
Again, I guess what was Ricky? He was 23, 24 years old in 1974. They brought him into Memphis the first time, and he had a main event program with Lawler for the Southern Junior Heavyweight title, and had a couple of sellouts of the Mid-South Coliseum. He got over instantly because these guys were doing, Lawler had been in Atlanta. Ricky Gibson had also. He started in Pensacola in the Alabama territory, but he'd gone through Atlanta. They were using vertical suplexes, jumps off the top rope, the Ricky Gibson's incredible drop kick and the big backdrops and all this stuff, and still having Memphis matches around that. And it was just so new. And then that's when Lawler had put Fargo out. So they brought Fargo in to be in Gibson's corner, did another sellout, bounced the belt back and forth between them. And from that point on, the Gibson name in Tennessee and the Memphis territory was made.
But looking at his injuries and the way his style affected his body, it's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing that Randy Savage didn't get hurt more.
Well, again, it's a lot of times it's how guys are built and what they're doing. And with Dynamite, I think he was just not only an incredible world-class athlete, and probably if he'd have chosen a different direction, he could have been some type of other world-class athlete, and also just such a mean, rotten bastard, he wouldn't go down until he had to go down. And Savage had gotten in such shape that he had that coiled spring type of physique until the elbow off the top wore his knee out and his hip. He was doing pretty good, but Ricky Gibson was a great pro wrestler, but he wasn't a world-class athlete or a bodybuilder. So the punishment that he took, and plus he was pushed to the top way early in his career, earlier than Savage was. Gibson was main eventing in Memphis and in Georgia and in the Alabama territory, while Savage was coasting a lot in ICW. He wasn't going to fucking kill himself in Virgie, Kentucky. And Dynamite, as I said again, was just a freak. So I think with Ricky, that was kind of like you said, maybe a little bit more early cautionary tale that, the body's just not made to do that stuff for long.
I just looked up his age. He was born in 52, which blows me away because I met him at the Night of Legends in 94 in Knoxville.
42 years old, he was on a cane.
It wasn't even just the cane. I mean, the gray hair. I mean, he looked 10 years older at minimum, maybe 15 than he was. I can't believe he was only 42.
That's, now that you mentioned, that's another thing. He turned gray prematurely. He was gray, partially gray, if he didn't do something about it, when he was in his late 20s. But he was the boy wonder for the Memphis territory in 1974. And by 1986, he was overweight and doing jobs for Crockett because Dusty and everybody respected what he had been able to do in the past.
Jim, this next question was sent in via the Cult of Cornette Facebook group by Michael Bratta. Just watched the angle in Smoky Mountain Wrestling where the Dirty White Boy puts Tracy Smothers' flag on fire. Were you expecting the flames to get that high? And did you think the smoke detectors might go off in the school?
I didn't think about the smoke detectors because I bet you there weren't any smoke detectors. And we were in Jellicoe, Tennessee at the Jellicoe High School. And again, I don't know if that old gym had any smoke detectors. We'd drawn a pretty decent crowd, 500 or 600 people on Monday night for a TV taping. But the plan was to burn. This was when Dirty White Boy and Ron Wright had renounced the citizens of Tennessee and they'd moved to New York and they were wearing the Yankees shirts. And we become a Yankee because we can't stand to be affiliated with people that support the Southern boy Tracy Smothers. So naturally, the thing to do leading up to the chain match at the Bluegrass Brawl is to burn Tracy's Confederate flag. So the thing I'd said beforehand, I said, now, how are we going to, I think I was talking to Brian Hildebrand, Mark Curtis. I said, how are we going to burn this flag without setting this gym on fire? And we came up with the idea, we get the big metal drum, the big oil drum or metal can, whatever. Garbage metal, some type of metal can, and burn it in the ring. So when they squirted the lighter fluid, etc., we're not setting fire to the mat. We don't want to burn the gym down. And they got up there. We had a fire extinguisher standing by. Dwayne Hamby, our ring fellow, had stuck one underneath the ring just in case. But it didn't get out of control or anything. And it wasn't like one of these fire incidents with ECW where they actually threw the fire out into the crowd, or one of the AEW things where it was a flamethrower and they were shooting and catching people on fire. We burned the flag, but we didn't tell the gym. We didn't smarten people up to shit. So it wasn't like we were the same thing as when I said slut on pay-per-view. We weren't going to go up to the fucking whoever the redneck operator of the Jellicoe High School gym was and say, by the way, we're going to shoot an angle here for the Bluegrass Brawl and we're going to set a fire in the ring. They didn't know what the fuck we were going to do. And nothing happened, so they weren't upset.
Real quick, it made me think of this question. What do you think is the riskiest thing you put on Smoky Mountain TV? I could think of a few options. Whether it was Mick Foley saying that's not the first time the little pussy has let a man to go astray. Daryl Van Horn talking about felching the family dog. Yukiro Kanemaru getting stabbed to death. I mean, what do you think is the riskiest thing you had on?
In my defense, I had no idea what Father James Mitchell, Daryl Van Horn, was talking about when he did the promo about the citizens of Eastern Kentucky sitting at home felching the family dog. That was not normal conversation 30 years ago. I'd never heard that verbiage. And also when he conjured Prince Karis up on TV one time by what was supposed to be an Egyptian incantation, but turned out to be Ilizak, the Fizak, the Weezat, the Kizanta. But Now, willingly. See, now sometimes things can go wrong.
No, things that you knew, this is pushing it a little bit. But
I didn't know Connemara when Kevin Sullivan said, well, we'll get some juice from his arm for the golden spike. I didn't know he was going to fucking slice his goddamn entire arm to the elbow and bleed like a deer on the side of the road being assaulted by a guy from Muhlenberg County.
But it's not talked about enough, but before that happened, months before, or a few months, the Brian Lee thing was pretty gory too.
Well, now that was on purpose. And again, we had been milking for weeks. Somebody is sending people after Brian Lee. It was the Mongolian Mauler showed up and the Night Stalker, who later became Brian Clark, Adam Bomb. And all these other people are trying to get Brian Lee, and there's a higher power behind it. The Master. Who's the Master? And finally, the night it was going to be revealed, we even had a camera look out back. There's a vehicle that's pulled up. There's somebody in it. We don't know who. It's not like this mysterious guy was bopping around in the locker room of the Grundy, Virginia fucking elementary school gym, right? We had to keep some separation. And then when Kevin comes in the hood and the fucking thing and throws that off and starts with the golden spike stabbing Brian Lee, he gets the juice. Everything's chaos. That was a lot of blood for television. And I talked to Rick Rubin. And Brian, you'll remember this because it's a Northeastern thing, because honestly, in the old days and down south, most of the time, they just let the blood go. But the Northeast was a little bit pricklier, bigger TV markets. They used to put on the old WWF TV shows, when they would have rare instances of juice for a heel's claw or whatever, they'd put the X over it, right? And it would be like censored.
Yeah, when Jimmy Snuka got the shit kicked out of him, that's what they did. And it's actually really effective because it makes it seem worse than it is. And it also makes you really want to see what's happening.
Yes. And so Rubin suggested, put the X up. And I said, and the editor called it Uncle Rick's Rowdy Red X. And we put the X up, and all you see is Sullivan with his spike in his hand, stab it, but you can't see the contact, but you see blood flying all over Brian Lee. My God, it looked like he was bashing his brains out. So it did. It was like the shower scene in Psycho.
Yeah, it looked bad.
The knife never touched, but you thought you saw the whole fucking thing. So that's why we did that. So that was a thing we pushed, and some of New Jack's comments, and I'm trying to think but
New Jack
was not a lot.
New Jack congratulating OJ in front of Bob Caudle is still one of the most surreal moments. Bob Caudle's holding the microphone there, and he's like, OJ, good job. 2 less of them to worry about. And Bob Caudle's just shaking his head like, oh no. Oh no.
But again, I didn't tell him to say that. So it wasn't like that I was doing this thinking, oh my God, are we going to go too far? It's just that sometimes these things, the concept materialized into, wow, that was memorable.
All right. Well, the correct answer was Tim Horner's Shameless.
Now that was going too far on television. We all should have been put in jail by the FCC for that one.
Jim, before we get out of here, a few trivia questions. I've just recently gotten my hands on the WWF Express Wrestling Trivia Game, 800 questions for ages 8 and up by Cardinal.
Can you give me the age 8 questions?
Bret Hart is on this box, so it must have come out in 1997, would be my guess. Jim, at WrestleMania 8, the guest ring announcer for the 8-man tag was Bob Uecker, Ray Combs, or Steve Allen.
Bob Uecker.
Incorrect. Ray Combs.
Who the fuck is Ray Combs?
He was the host of Family Feud after Richard Dawson. He was good.
Oh, crap. Well, no wonder. But you can't follow Dickie Dawson, baby.
He didn't molest all the women on the show. He was a good host.
That's what was wrong with it. That was part of a television afternoon, is watching Richard Dawson paw over those middle-aged women.
Jim, one team at the 1993 Survivor Series. Okay, you have to guess the remaining members. I was like, how the fuck is this laid out? Razor Ramon, 1-2-3 Kid, Randy Macho Man Savage, and who's the fourth member? Here are your options. Scott Steiner, Marty Jannetty, or Adam Bomb.
Christ, I was on this thing. It had to be Adam Bomb.
Marty Jannetty is the correct answer. Jim, where did the 1994 Survivor Series take place? Richfield, Ohio, San Antonio, Texas, or Chicago, Illinois?
Chicago, where CM Punk's from. Da-da-da-da-da.
All right, it's San Antonio.
What?
Where Joe Blanchard is from.
They just did the San Antonio Rumble in fucking 97. You bet they were in San Antonio for that too? Was I in San Antonio? Son of a bitch, I was on that too. Now I remember, God damn it. They were still doing the Survivor Series on Thanksgiving. No, it was the night before Thanksgiving. That's what it was.
This is going well.
Because, well, no, well, now I remember as clear as day. The Bodies and I were on the 94 Survivor Series. And we had to fly back the next day on Thanksgiving Day to go to our Thanksgiving Thundertown starting in Eastern Kentucky. That's what it was. Or was that 93?
93 was Boston.
It may have been 93. We had to fly back and then fucking go to Hazard. I don't know. What was the question?
The question was, where did the 94 Survivor Series take place?
Well, I didn't answer it correctly, did I?
I don't think you're going to get question 4 when we go to question 5 on this card.
Oh, now give me now. Don't just give me question 4.
There's no chance you'd get this. There's no chance because I don't think you would have seen it.
Now it's a dare.
At the 1988 SummerSlam, who was Hercules' opponent?
Well, I'll tell you what. That was Thor. Thor fought Hercules.
Not at the SummerSlam in 88. That was Jake Roberts. Jake Roberts. And Jim, what wrestler once held the world and tag team title at the same time? As of 97.
Didn't they do something with Michaels and somebody where they, I don't know.
Bob Backlund.
Backlund.
Bob
What?
Backlund.
Bob Backlund at the same time. Was that when Bob was the WWF champion, but they did something with him and
Pedro at Shea Stadium.
else? Him and Pedro winning the belts.
Over the
But
Samoans.
then they had to relinquish them because Backlund was still the singles champion.
Well, one problem,
Which begs the question, why did they make the match?
But now that I'm looking at some of these may not be accurate. And these are put out by Titan Sports.
God damn it.
Who accompanied The Undertaker at the 1991 Survivor Series? Brother Love, Slick, or Ted DiBiase? It says here Brother Love, but that was the 1990 Survivor Series, not 91. So they got the year wrong on their own card.
So maybe you're just giving me fake fucking questions.
Well, hold on. I'm trying to look through ones I definitely know for sure. Okay, here we go.
Making me look like I don't know what I'm doing over here.
At the 1994...
I don't know what I'm doing with the WWF shit that I've tried to put out of my mind.
At the 1994 SummerSlam, which is not the way anyone refers to it, the 94 SummerSlam, who accompanied Razor Ramon to the ring? Walter Payton, Barry Sanders, or Boomer Esiason?
Walter Payton.
That is correct. Walter Payton.
See, I remembered that I'd heard that name before.
All right, here's a familiar question. At the 1993 Survivor Series, who was the guest ring announcer? Bob Uecker, Ray Combs, or Chuck Norris?
Well, wait a minute. You just asked me that question a minute ago.
Now, hold on. That one was WrestleMania 8. The guest ring announcer for the 8-man tag. That was Ray Combs.
Oh, Christ.
93 Survivor Series guest ring announcer.
Was what are my choices?
Bob Uecker, Ray Combs, Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris, because that's when he delivered that fucking sidekick to Jeff Jarrett and couldn't get his leg more than 2 feet off the ground.
Unfortunately, the answer is Ray Combs.
What? Well, where would Chuck Norris if he was there?
Why are there so many Ray Combs questions in the first?
Well, I don't know what it is. It's Ray Combs' brother-in-law doing this set of things. But no, Chuck Norris was there, and Walker, Texas Ranger. We were in Texas, and he fucking did the sidekick to Jeff Jarrett and kicked him in the goddamn upper thigh. And trying to be all badass and everything. Chuck Norris sucks.
Jim, the 1987 Survivor Series, one team was Ron Bass, Danny Davis, Honky Tonk Man, Harley Race, and who? You have to guess,
Yes.
not the wrestler who. You have to guess who.
No, that's my guess. Who?
Hercules. Hercules.
Who?
Jim, at the 1993 SummerSlam, what excuse did Jerry Lawler use to get out of wrestling? He had a fever, he was in a car accident, or his plane was late.
He had a fever. A fever in the morning and a fever all through the night. You give me fever. He had a doctor's note too, didn't he?
He was in a car accident, according to this.
What? I thought he had a fever.
At the 1993 Survivor Series, where you were, let's just establish what places you actually were. Who was the Intercontinental Champion? Jeff Jarrett, Shawn Michaels, or Razor Ramon?
That was at the time of that would have been Razor Ramon.
That's what I would have thought too. It says Shawn Michaels.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
But 93 Survivor Series, when Shawn Michaels came back to replace Lawler against Bret Hart and his family, when did they have the tournament where Razor Ramon beat Rick Martel to become the Intercontinental Champion? Wasn't it before then? All right, well, we'll see. Jim, at the 1994 Survivor Series, who was not a member of Clowns R Us? Pink, Dink, or Bink?
Bink.
That is correct, though. You got one. Bink. Bink the Clown was not one of the dwarf clowns. Jim, at the 1993 Survivor Series, the first man eliminated from the Harts was Keith Hart, Owen Hart, or Bret Hart.
Now I say it again.
93 Survivor Series, which Hart family member was eliminated first? Keith, Owen, or Bret?
Certainly they wanted to get Keith out of there.
Owen Hart.
Oh, good God.
It says here. I didn't remember that either. Huh. All right. A couple more here. This is fun. You're doing great.
Oh, I'm doing wonderful.
Here we go again. At the 93 Survivor Series, one team was Owen, Bret, Bruce, and Jason Hart, Eric Hart, or Keith Hart.
Eric Hart. No, you just told me who the fuck it was. Yes.
At the 1994 Survivor Series, the special referee for Yoko Undertaker match was Mr. Perfect, Chuck Norris, or Jake Roberts. Chuck Norris. That's the Chuck Norris story. Jim, here's a big one. What city was the first WBF championship held?
Oh, the bodybuilding.
Why would they put that in this? Oh, my God.
Atlantic City.
You got it. Wow. Atlantic City.
Yes. Because that's the only place they could take a clown show that was close enough to the goddamn office that, you know, it wasn't a pain in the ass.
Well, we will stop there on a victory. We'll return to WWF 1997 WWF trivia at a later time. My accent is coming out. My Long Island accent is coming out as I'm on this Mucinex now. Hold on.
Later. We're gonna talk about it later.
With that, the drive-thru is closed. Ah, nothing is working! We'll be back on the experience in a few days. And of course, next week, back here in the drive-thru. Hopefully, I'll not sound mushy-mouthed. Patreon.com/Cornette for the archive. $5 a month. Now I'm losing my voice too. And of course, the official YouTube channel, full episodes.
You sound like one of the Cosby kids, old Mushmouth.
And of course, the Omnibus collections, the George Livinitis artwork, our guest artwork from Freeman. Check it out today. Cornette's Collectibles. What's going on, Jim?
You know.
Oh, damn it.
JimCornette.com.
At JimCornette.com. The drive-thru is brought to you by the loves of Stephen P. New, 877-50-STEVE. Get even with Stephen at newlawoffice.com. But until the experience in a few days and next week back here on the drive-thru, I will remain yelling to get through the end of this. For Jim Cornette, I'm the great Brian Last. Tally-ho!